This is a test show for those of you who are here. I am James Kingsley. I'm doing a show here on Axiom Curb, where we are going to be talking about not just politics and religion and things like that, but also about love, a very basic idea. And yet it's so complex that I think it merits a lot of talk, a lot of, and a place to be where we can discuss how to make this love thing real. I'm all about being real. I'm all about being you, being me, being us. Because in reality, in my way of viewing things, we're all one huge, big thing. Now, you can call it what you want. Some people might say, oh, that's God. And other people might say, hey, that's like Buddha. Another person might say, hey, that's like Muhammad. And everybody's going to have their own views, you know? And I say this, love is love no matter who you are, no matter what you are, no matter what your color, no matter what you believe or think or dream. And I am not here to define the differences or to be the person who uh, looks at just a single side, judges that to be the right side, and tells everybody else they're wrong. You see, wisdom teaches that we should listen to all sides, that we should see from all sides, that we should examine from all sides. I've been spending some time right now dealing with looking at things that I might not otherwise look at. I won't say what the topic is because that would be divisive. The minute I bring up a topic or give a viewpoint, there's going to be division. And that's the thing I'm trying not to do. We live in a world of division, folks, a world where each one of us is told that we should be a certain way or think a certain way, and if not, we're an idiot. And so we judge each other by ad hominems and by name calling. And just false judgment, because really, I mean, who amongst us can claim to know it all? We don't. I mean, we're things like, okay, is there a God? We really don't know. Nobody can say for sure. We have a faith or we don't have a faith. And you know what? I've learned one thing. It doesn't matter. I may have a faith, you may not. That's okay. I don't have to decide that your faith has to be mine or that I have to convince you that I'm right. Wisdom is not based upon necessarily the things that we would base it on. Wisdom in some ways has no real words to it. It's no real substance. It comes with time and it's almost felt like an emotion. And I say time because you got to make a lot of mistakes to gain wisdom. You got to make a choice to gain love. And when I say that, I mean that you can choose how you react to people. On the internet, there's so many ways in which people are ill reacting to other people. We want to argue. Arguing on the internet is fruitless. It's stupid. It's ignorant. It's dumb. It goes nowhere, and nobody ever wins. Everybody always thinks they're right, and when they leave the argument, they think they won. Usually because they called somebody a name or tried to call somebody out. By that time, by the way, the other person's probably left the argument, so they think they won because they're the last statement, but really the other person just said, I've had enough of this, and that's the reality of it. But the fantasy life is, I won. I am great and powerful. Now, this show that you're going to see on this channel coming up is when I do it, is about these ideas of how do we bring about love and unity in a world of such division. And I have some ideas. I'm not saying that I have the dogma you should adhere to or the ideas that you need to take. I don't believe that I have all the answers. In fact, I really admit I have only a few maybe reasonable ideas regarding the answers. What I'm looking for are other people who I believe have other parts of this puzzle that once we get it all together, it will just sort of automatically spring into being. It will spring into action. It will become a reality once enough people absorb the message and make it real. But it's a one-on-one kind of event. It's a thing where basically I don't believe that, for instance, I'm responsible for saving all of you in some way. I can't save you. There's nobody can save you but you. You still have to make a choice to be saved in the first place if there is a saving to be had. But the saving is not probably what traditional religion is about, but what has to do with saving your spirit from anger, distress, pain, hardship, desires for revenge, hurt. As I've said many times, we'll say many times again, hurting people hurt people. And this is our problem. The people who are not loved, the people who are in pain, they just want, many of them really do want love. Now, it doesn't mean they want a hug. Don't get me wrong. I've had people like, used to make fun of me on a website because I used to run around and I think I could love everybody by saying, here, let me love you, And the problem is that's kind of too aggressive a love. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying I'm here. If you want love, I'm available to you. That's the kind of love that should be the love we have. Not I'm going to chase after you and love you in spite of yourself. You want me. I never do that. I'm just an available guy. People are often surprised if they pop up on my Facebook. Oftentimes I don't respond to every IM I get, but I try to respond to as many as I can. Sometimes I've gotten into great conversations with people all over the world, and I am so enjoyed meeting each and every one of you. I've met wonderful people everywhere. I mean, these people here on this station here basically are from the UK, and I have spent a lot of time over there. I was with Resistance Radio, and we spent a lot of time getting to know each other through that, and then all of these various aspects of things, and FIN, Freedom Informant Network. Some of you know I was with that for a while, and we all got to know each other over time, and we built this bond of understanding of, hey, you know what? These are the type of people I would want to be with. If I could put a community together of all sorts of people, I would want to be with people who are caring, compassionate, understanding, who have a good sense of humor too. I mean, we all have to be able to laugh. Don't get me wrong. I mean, there's going to be people who know me who know I have both a sort of a silly sense of humor and a desire to be to show wisdom, especially to younger people. And at 55, there's more of you younger people than there are older on the internet. Many people over my age don't even know quite how to use the internet. So I want to thank, by the way, PJ. I know you're here. PJ, are you with me?
Yeah, I'm here. I was just going to mention then, I think we crossed paths through Fin Radio, and that was through your good friend Ian. In a long time, so if he does listen to this,
I hope he comes by.
Yeah, have you seen him lately? Spoke to him.
He pops up on my he's on my Facebook. Do you have him on your Facebook? He's got kind of a secret Facebook because he went through some problems. So I can get you his Facebook. I'm sure he would want to hear from you.
Yeah, I kind of recall that.
I mean,
I did have a few of his accounts, and then as he's changed them, I've just lost contact with him.
Well, he had to stay kind of on the background of things for a while because of certain things happening with he and Amy. But that's not for me to talk about here because that's personal business. But I'm just going to say it. He kind of had to kind of stay low a little while due to legal matters.
Yeah. Well, big shout out to you, Ian, if you're listening in.
PJ, I want to say thank you. We've had a long relationship. How long have we known each other?
Oh, it's been what?
4 years?
Yeah,
4 years. Because I remember with Finn, with Freedom Informant Network, that I met you through that, and we had beautiful talks there. We had a great chat room. It was so active in its own sense. It wasn't that we had a lot of people; we just had really good people.
Regular people. Yeah, that's all we needed, and that's how it works, and what we're good about it, and the things that came from those minds getting together are seen today, and hopefully they could continue to shine out there.
You're with me on this, aren't you? You know where we're going with all of this in your heart, don't you? You get it right.
It's the only way. Yeah, there's no other way. That's how
I hope other people get
it. Things work in a way where they can go wrong, but to at least ever get them right, we have to accept that sometimes they can go wrong. We can't just eliminate that like we all health and safety that we get today. That's just not the way I think we should go about it. But yeah, I think we need to get together, no matter how we get together. And
well, I want to say, PJ, I am so proud of you because I watched you as you started getting together Axiom Curb. I know I came up with a little piece that we played on the air, and I hope that helped build some of your audience as well. And you've kept this going, and I just in a world where people get, like, especially on the internet, everybody's kind of like here today, gone tomorrow. you have maintained, you have tried to pull together various resources to continue to be active in what I would consider both political and
I've not
world
done anything.
activism.
I've not done anything, James. It's people who've come cross paths who've done their own things for it, and I've just stick with these real people because that's what I like about it. So that's what's kept me doing whatever.
But see, this has created you as a kind of one of the hubs. And as I told you, as I sort of backed off of things that, I had sort of been a hub for a while, but, basically you got to pass that on sometimes and let other people be hubs. And it's not about my arrogant, I don't like doing things arrogantly or ego-centered. My ego is filled when I see people's lives change. That's what changes.
But that's the thing, though. It's with the ego. It's something like, most people have to sit about and wait to see these things, but we just, do what we do, and they come back and show us a nice surprise. That's beautiful about it.
Everything comes back around. Everything's cyclical, as we'll talk about probably in the show at some point. Because I'll probably talk a little bit about Native American spirituality. I think that's kind of the closest thing that I have to a good lesson I can teach people about medicine wheel and things like that. And you guys over there in Britain and other countries probably don't have access as much to that kind of teaching. And it's some very wise stuff talking about even past history that's not known by Europeans. I know that sounds weird, but frankly, the Native American people have a greater history and written history in their own way, or knowledge of history, than do some people from the European cultures, which is weird, but it seems to be true.
It's interesting that, yeah.
Well, and I want to take you guys there because I want to share it with you. Now, whether you believe it or not, it's up to you. And I'll share with you how to understand it. Most people don't understand Native American people talk on a different plane than, say, white people like me. And I got around a lot of them as they opened up to me because I told them my heart goes to the Native American people of this land who suffered at the hands of the forefathers. Here's a crazy part of this, guys, and you can go look up the history on this. Do you know who my forefather was who came here from your land over to this one?
Not specifically, no, I don't know.
You can go look it up on the Mayflower log. They were the Billingtons.
Stav might be more familiar with that name.
I'm just going to say the Billington Boys. Go look up the Mayflower log concerning what happened with the Billington Boys. I'll let you guys search it out, but that's my ancestor. We almost burned down the Mayflower.
Yeah, I know what you're on about now.
So that's my legacy to America and to the Native American people is our family almost made it, so we didn't get here. So our family almost saved you guys.
Puritans and Quakers.
Oh well, and criminals.
No, I was going to leave that bit out, Joe.
Well, I'm going to tell you the truth. My family were not Puritans and Quakers.
No.
The Billingtons were trying to leave your area because they owed way too much in taxes and wanted to get away. They were just on it for a money thing. And the Billington father, the two Billington boys, because they all came over together, he was the first man hanged in America for, I guess, stealing a pig or something. I don't know. But he was the first man actually killed on a charge. So my history of America, I want to go back there. That's before that. I want to go home. I'm just kidding. I love America, but I also love the world. I love us globally. I'm not a globalist, but I am a global hope. See, I don't want if you talk about Illuminati, New World Order, that kind of thing. Okay, I don't want that kind of deal. What I, though, want is a place where we find enough love that the whole world can come together on its own terms. In other words, you can be different, and yet you can be a part of us. That's the kind of world we should have, not I want your land, I want your resources. It's more or less we should be trading resources and other things for stuff. And if we got along, we wouldn't need military budgets, and then all that money and things could go for better stuff. That's what I hope for. That's my dream. Now, it is a dream, and it is probably just a fantasy that can never take place on planet Earth, but why let that limit me?
Yeah.
I don't want to live in a world of limits. Do you? I think that love is the most important thing. Hey, I just found something here. I'm just kind of curious I just decided to look up something. How to love. How do you love? So here's one of the first things that came up is how to love, a 5-part action plan. Falling in love is passive. How loving you are depends on what you're giving. Do you know how to love? Do you make it a point to convey loving feelings through loving actions to those who are most important to you? Loving actions are anything that gives good feelings to others. Unloving, by contrast, means that you refrain from giving affection, appreciation, warm smiles, help, and other words and actions that convey good vibes, or that you actively say or do words or actions that hurt people. Sadly, all too often, the ones whom many people give the fewest appreciative words and kindly actions are A, themselves, and B, their loved ones. This person says, a client in my therapy practice frequently says to himself, I don't love myself. I don't love anyone. I don't know how to love. And that's a sad set of thoughts. So this person who wrote this article found that they had been thinking a lot lately about the important question of how to love. Receiving the following email then led me, the author of this, to write these thoughts into a blog post, which I'm reading. This is from Psychology Today, by the way. It said, hi, Dr. Heitler, which is the name of the author. I hope this is not too basic of a question, but in your experience, do you think that love is a necessary condition for a successful marriage? I'm worried that I no longer have the capacity to fall, yet want to make a long-term relationship work, even with my terrible trust issues. Your wisdom is greatly appreciated. One falls in love with romantic sexualized feelings. People stay in love by acting lovingly. Acting lovingly entails habits like appreciating, caring, helping, and sharing, habits that make a love relationship last. These are loving habits, habits that spread positive energy, that make bonding feel safe and gratifying. Listening, something we don't do much, in an appreciative way, furthers the spread of love as well. Habits that make bonding feel unsafe and insecure, by contrast, erode affection. They smother love with negative feelings like anger, depression, and anxiety. Eliminating habits like criticism, sarcasm, irritation, blame, raging, neglect, or dismissiveness certainly can be a good start to sharing how to love. Eliminating hurtful habits is necessary, but not sufficient for cultivating love. Loving also requires positive actions. Frequent repetitions of the 5 kinds of habits described below will convey louder than words, along with respect, caring, and affection of love. If you do not spontaneously give forth these signs of love, odds are that you're going to grow up in a family where these habits were not modeled. One of my clients, says the author, for instance, grew up in a family in which dad, while not overly hostile, seldom said anything positive, even showing no joy when his son was received an acceptance letter to a college of his dreams. See, that's not loving behavior, not from a parent and not from anyone. The versatility of love actions, the 5 love habits that you need to cultivate, apply equally to loving others. That's because people tend to talk about themselves in the same way they talk about others. Criticize and blame yourself. Appreciative toward yourself. Probably you do these actions as well to others as well. So, the How to Love action plan. As you hear this plan, it can be helpful to assess how you're doing on each factor on a scale of 0 to 5. Rate yourself first on how you interact with a targeted loved one, like a spouse, a lover, a teenager, child, relative, friend, etc. Then do the second run through, scoring how you interact with yourself. You might run a third time through, and you can go back in this, whatever, and see it, and run through your total numbers. Score 20 or higher is good, 25 better. It's on top of the line. Let me go ahead and read this as it is here. It says, after my father died, I told my sister how much, to my surprise, I was missing him after all, caring for him by taking him out of the rides and errands, seeking to his medical needs, eating dinner with him, and bringing him to my house to enjoy time with his kids, grandkids, and great-grandkids took a lot of time. Why wasn't I relieved to have more discretionary time now to myself? My sister answered wisely. She said, we grow to love. We care the most for those we take care of caring. For that is an act of love. The more you take care of, the more you feel the love. One aspect of caring is responsitivity. If you feel tired, do you respond responsively to yourself and therefore figure out how to get some rest? If others express a vulnerable feeling, say of sadness, worry, or fatigue, do you respond with kindness and thoughts of what you might do to help? Another aspect of caring is making time for those you love. How well do you care for yourself? How well do you help out and care for other than yourself? How could you do more caring for yourself and for others? Number 2, eyes and mouth. Use your mouth to verbalize what you see. The good eye looks to understand, accept, and appreciate what you see in yourself and in others. Sentences expressing what the good eye sees typically start with phrases like, I agree that, or I'm glad that, or I like your. Enjoyment, appreciation, and gratitude are particularly strong indicators that the good eye is in the lead, leading you towards loving peace and a loving place. Maybe that's why prayer tends to focus on expression of what we appreciate. The bad eye, by contrast, looks at yourself and others to criticize, judge, and demean with negative labels of what you see, saying phrases like, you shouldn't have, or why did you, or that was dumb, you idiot, or WTF, indicates you got a bad eye that's in control. The bad eye does have its place. Some things are genuinely wrong. Stealing is wrong, for instance, and murder, hatred, brutality, corruption, and even small acts of meanness. The key is to save the bad eye for recognizing genuinely hurtful actions. A too frequent focus on negative breeds dislike, distrust, sarcasm, and other negative attitudes, all of which are the opposites of the loving attitudes. The good eye focuses on positives like kindness and beauty, effort, and everything that's been done well. See what is good and say what you like, and you will be solidly on the road to loving. On the same time, the good eye foibles your own and others with acceptance and humor. No one's perfect. We have to have plenty of room to grow, which brings us to the next step. Number 3, when things go wrong, breathe deeply. Then remind yourself, mistakes are for learning. After you make a mistake, what do you say to yourself or to others who've made a mistake? Taking a deep breath before you react can calm you down and give you time to let your thinking catch up with the impulse to react. If your tone sounds harsh or your words are critical, step back, breathe again, and relax a bit more, then start over. Mistakes are not for punishing. Mistakes are not for pounding yourself or others into soft heaps of regret. Mistakes are for learning. Mistakes are not for revenge. As one blogger, Stephen Diamond, said and has written, revenge leads to bitterness and then on to hatred. Those feelings are the opposites of love. Mistakes are for learning. Figure out what you and others did and turned out to be problematic, and then figure out how to do things differently next time. Mistakes are for learning. Your ears. Listening is loving, and boy, do I have a tough one with that, because I tend to be more of a talker than a listener, and people have to shut me up because I will just yippity-yap all on and on. I'm glad I have the internet because at least that stops me from talking. But it's good for radio. It's good for this kind of thing. So here you go. Ears. Listening is for loving. When your shoulder hurts, do you ignore it? Or do you pause to figure out what may be causing the pain or how you might repair the difficulty? When you feel lonely, do you depreciate yourself for feeling that way? Or do you aim to figure out what you might do to alleviate the loneliness? When others share their concerns, distresses, and vulnerable feelings for you, do you listen to understand, or do you brush their words aside as burdensome inconveniences, dismiss or negate what you heard with but and explain that it's wrong? What is wrong with those thoughts? That would be listening with the bad ear, just like listening to yourself, at yourself or others with an eye that's looking for wrong or the bad eye. Listen with your genuine interest. Listen to your own quiet inner voice and to others in order to understand. Listen to share other sorrows and to celebrate joys, and listen from others when their viewpoints differ from yours. Listening is loving. Number 5, skin. Ooh, we want this part, right? Skin and more. Get some skin in the game if you want to sustain a loving, intimate relationship. Skin-to-skin hugging, cuddling, and making love in this full sense of the essential ingredients of a lasting love relationship if you're in a proper, right-on, one-on-one with somebody. Skin-to-skin contact releases oxytocin, the chemical that produces feelings of bonding. Kids especially thrive with lots of parental loving in the hugging variety. We can hug each other no matter what. I'm a big hugger. I love it. And do keep in mind that marriage without sex is a marriage at risk. Opening your deeper self to feelings of love. Some people are afraid to love, and I understand that. Afraid to trust themselves to others. They've been hurt. The good news is the anxiety is not a stop sign. It's just a blinking yellow light. It says proceed with caution. How to proceed from here, folks? Where do you take love? Practice taking loving actions at least once every day towards yourself. Do something for you. And at least once a day towards the fortunate person or people in whom you would like to be able to love. Then add more. The more actions, the more love you do, the more loving you'll feel inside. Do, however, take the 5 steps we mentioned here as a starter. But move on from there. Because that's not the end, that's just the beginning. That's how love is, folks. It's the end of that article. It's a pretty good article, huh? It's called How to Love, a 5-part action plan by Susan Heitler, PhD. It was on Psychology Today. That's a good little thing. You can go look it up yourself, I suppose. So I share that. Let's share that to my Facebook if you want it. If you can go on my Facebook. Many of you probably are. I'm happy to have you there. Thank you so much for being a part of my life if you're on my Facebook. I'm not too picky. I accept everyone. I love everyone. You're all important to me. But I also have had to X out a few people. There's a few there that come in, and it's not. I don't X people out because they argue with me or even hate on me. What I don't like is when people take advantage or hurt other people. And if I see that, we don't have a friendship. And how do I know that? I look for your motives. If your motives are not right, I'm going to probably be less likely to keep you on. If you're trying to get money from me, or you think that I'm a mark to pull some scam on, believe me, I'm too educated on the internet for that. You're not going to win. In fact, you're going to get reported because that's just how I am. I don't want people to get hurt, and so I have to protect them. The only way I can do that is to report. I'm not a narc by nature, but when it comes to the internet, I am a protector of my friends. And if I see somebody getting caught up in something, and I have on occasion, on one of these internet scams or whatever you want to call it, I'm quick to go after the person and report them and figure out how to fix the problem to make it right. Because that's what love does. Love sometimes comes to the rescue. Now, I'm not perfect at it. I hope people don't try to, the funny thing is when you love people like I do, people are always trying to catch you. Because, for instance, I use the word fuck, okay? That for some people it's like, well, you're a guy who's a nice guy, but you'll use a bad word or whatever it is. When you judge me like that, it's a judgment. You're not judging properly, because what I'm doing when I use that word may be just to emphasize something. It's kind of like an exclamation point. It's not to offend, it's to get attention. So I think we need to stop looking and picking on each other and how we talk or what we say, and look to the heart of each person. What is the intent? If your intent is to love and have compassion and caring, if you intend to help your brothers and sisters instead of hurt them, then you're on my side of things. It doesn't matter what you believe. I have people of all sorts of belief systems and ideas. And in fact, if all of my Facebook friends got together, I guarantee there'd be a war and nobody would win. Everybody would die. It would be it'd be just a bloody, horrible mess at this point, because they're all so different in their ideas and beliefs. And some people say, well, why do you have that person as your friend? Well, you know what? How can I influence somebody I have no contact with? If you're going to change the world, you don't go surrounding yourself just with people who agree with you. That's a sure way to not have any influence on the world. If you want to influence the world, you influence the greatest number possible. Anybody who will listen, but you don't judge them, you let them come. If they want to judge anything, go look at how I live. Go see if I live a decent life. Go see if I love people. The people who know me, and I can say this because there are people here on the internet who know me, I do in real life exactly as I say here on the internet. Not perfectly, but I do it. I make every attempt to live in love and compassion for people. I am a boss for a job, and I understand the importance of that role, where I have people working under me. And you know what? I consider myself, and I think all my employees would tell you, I am a fair, equitable, and caring boss who has compassion for my workers and understands their importance and doesn't just see them as peons working for me. You understand how that works? It's a mindset. Are you going to set your mind to love? Or are you going to set your mind to, I'm the most important thing in the world, and it's all about me, me, me. Not about just you. It's about us, us, us. It's about we. It's about working together for common goals and common understanding. It's about working together for love and unity that unlike anything that we've ever seen before, because I believe, folks, we can do it, but we've got to get together. Just a few at a time. It's not going to take a big mass, just a strong enough one. And if nothing else, we'll at least have found the good ones, won't we? If we live in love, and we love in love, and we give in love, and we receive in love. It's okay to receive out of love. Don't, if you have a need, let your folks know. If they can help you, they will. I've been helped out of problems on a lot of occasions by people, sometimes people I didn't expect. A lot of people know when I was with Finn, I ran into a situation financially where I was off the internet and they wanted $300. And I was like, how am I going to get back on the internet? I was going down to the library to use the computer because I really didn't know how in the world I was going to get back on the internet. I didn't have $300 to put myself back on the internet. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, came a guy who I would have never suspected. I won't even give his name. I'll just say this guy came out and suddenly said, where do you want me to send the money? And I had to graciously receive that because I wanted to get back on the internet, because what I think I do on the internet is important. Not because I'm self-important, not because it's about my ego, but because I wish I saw more people doing it. I do. When I see people doing what I do, I get excited. I will tell you, Olivia Cornell, an actress, I am amazed by this girl. She's like me. She's inspirational. I would love to get her involved. In fact, if I could pull her over here to, Axiom Curb and have her be a part of this community, I think she would be a positive and motivational person. If you're positive, motivational, you've got a good attitude towards love, oh man, get to know me, because I really want to know your brothers and sisters. You're my real brothers and sisters. We're all interconnected, though, and I know there's a balance, and I know there's negative people and darkness and light. One goes with the other. There's no way to eliminate it. I mean, I don't want to judge. I decided I want to hang out in the light, and I'm looking for the people of the light. That's in the yin yang. I'm on the white section. That's just where I want to hang. People in the dark, that's cool. Go over there, hang over there. I'm cool with that. You want to look at my light? That's all right too. You want to come talk about it? We can talk dark to light. I don't give a shit. I've talked to Luciferians and Satanists and had really great conversations. I love atheists. I watch more atheist YouTube than I do Christian YouTube, and I grew up a Christian. I don't judge people by it, and I don't judge those people. I recently found out something about that amazing atheist guy that made me really have a heart for him as to why he is the way he is and why he has. But he's a very intelligent guy. Yeah, he stuck a banana up his, but he's still an intelligent guy. He's kind of funny sometimes too, a little snarky. Maybe sometimes not as loving as I would be, but at least as honest as I'd like to see. I'm trying to play holier than thou. I don't even play holier than thou. And I would like to be seen that way. Really, I wouldn't, because then people judge you by how they think you should be, and that's often what it is. They judge you by how they think you should be rather than what you are. My message, by the way, my show, I don't expect to be on the top pop, charts. Love is never as popular as all that drama that people like to create with the hate. That will always get more. People will always want to go watch some guy get hit in the balls with a bat more than they'll want to hear some guy chatting about love. And I understand that. But to the few of you, and that's all I need, just two, really confirmed, going out, doing what I'm doing kind of guys, and people, women, children, dogs, cats, I don't care what. Two of you, get out there and do that. And I've fulfilled my obligation. And after that, everything else is cake for me. It's just, I don't have to worry after that. I fulfilled everything I need to do when two people are doing fully what I am doing now, making their life about giving themselves over to love and to promote it, support it, and be there. In spite of what anybody looks, be a lighthouse. Lighthouses flash whether the ship sees them or not. And that was what I was told I am. I'm a lighthouse. And you know what? I accept that. That's quite all right. I don't care who watches or who doesn't. Doesn't matter to me. I could be just watching myself and I'm fine. But frankly, I probably won't be watching myself. I seriously don't watch me. I mean, sometimes I'll check just like a little sound check. How did I sound? Was it okay? Okay, I've heard enough. I know what I know. I know this message that I'm giving. It's going to be the same message I give every time you see me. But it's also going to be that I'll bring other things into it. Other aspects, how to materialize it in this world, how to make it a part of who you are. how to manifest unifying energy in a way that doesn't counteract other people's desire for the freedom of their own energies. That's a hard one. It's also a tough one to say because it sounds like I'm talking about something very puzzling. And yeah, we'll deal with those things on this whatever this show thing is. I'm not sure what it's going to be called yet or whatever. I'm not even sure how that's all going to work out. I'd probably only be able to do a couple of them a month, to be honest with you. But I'm going to do my best to be here and fulfill what I can to share with as many as I can, those that want to hear it. And if you don't want to hear it, that's fine. There's lots of other things you can go click on the internet. Anyway, guys, I guess this would be about a good place to stop as any. I pretty much said my piece for today. Are you still with me? Anyone?
Yeah, still here.
Okay. Is this where you want me to go?
Yeah, that's brilliant, that, James. If you're wanting to bring anybody on for a chat, I don't know if you want to put a link out for it. Now you've done your piece. Just to see
Well,
if
eventually, I do know how to get a hold of people. You know, there's some people I would like, for instance, I would love to get Lydia Cornell on. If I can get her on here with us, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Because this is a woman who thinks like I do. We have a great connection insofar as just, you know, what she likes what I put out there and I like what she puts out there. So I think together we could put out there some pretty good shit. So I'm hoping that maybe I could bring together the opportunity that she and I could actually, you know, have a public conversation. So in fact, she has agreed that after she gets done with a movie deal and a book she's writing, that she has agreed to Skype with me. So that's a good first step. So.
Yeah, it sounds an interesting person. I've put a link on your Facebook there. We'll hang about for 5-10 minutes if anybody wants to join. Just put that one on your Facebook wall and see who comes on. Meanwhile, I've just been talking to Gina, who's been on here. I think she were on one time. We did one. Peasants' Revolt, I think where we covered. And she's, unfortunately, she's had a car crash. So I wish her a speedy recovery on that one.
My heart goes out. Healing energy out to you, my friend.
Yeah.
I don't know you, but let healing energy reign. Okay?
I'm sure she did join us on one episode we did in season 2. She has also mentioned that she's very sad about Bill Molliston passing, the inventor of permaculture. So I thought I'd mention that. I'm not too familiar with the individual himself, but permaculture's always been something I've found, you know, quite fascinating and spent many hours looking into.
Was that the chap that Bock?
I think it were, yeah. Yeah, because it were, but Bock put me onto all that permaculture, no dig, mulching methods and all that, yeah. So
yeah.
Yeah, so thanks to Bock for listening. Yep.
He's got quite a few YouTube videos, hasn't he, and things.
I've not seen much of his stuff. I'm just, you know, obviously Gina's mentioned his name and that he's passed away.
Well, it might be a different guy that Bob showed us a few videos that he done. I think
it does sound familiar from what Bob mentioned. Yeah, I can't be too sure. What's your thoughts?
Sorry?
Person, you know, from I guess he's American.
James, have you heard of him, James?
What's the name again? What's the name? Who?
What was his name, PJ? It's gone out of my head now.
Bill Molliston. Oh, Mollison, sorry. His name's Bill Mollison.
I would have to Google it to find out if I do. I mean, there's a lot of people I'm familiar with, sort of like if I see them, I would know. It's like, but other people, some people by name. One guy who, by the way, I really recommend to people, and I posted some of his stuff on Facebook, is a gentleman by the name of Leo Biscaglia. He was known as Dr. Hug. He probably, I hope I can carry on to some degree what he was doing, because he was truly promoting everything. I almost feel like maybe to some degree I feel kind of a passing of the torch, because I actually did go to one of his things before he died and hugged him. And there was a certain feeling of being able to hug this guy because he was so well known for being a person who, you know, was about love. I'll post another video on my Facebook here in a little bit. And
He's going back to him. His name's Bruce Charles Mollison, Australian researcher, author, scientist, teacher, and biologist, considered to be the father of permaculture. Take it from Wikipedia.
And by the way, taking care of the environment is also love.
Yeah, it goes back to this video I saw. I think it was David Wolf put it out yesterday. Individuals collecting plastic bottles and making like cities out of them. And Ron, who Major is, I'm not too sure. George Carlin's piece on saving the planet, which I did have to laugh to. But George Carlin's one of them people that no matter how many times you watch a certain piece of it, you always laugh. You can't help but laugh.
I'm always learning. I think that's important in life.
Is that the one where he goes on about plastic, PJ?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah,
yeah, very good. Very good.
We got, what is this here? Oh, yeah, okay, you guys are having a conversation over there. Okay, I had to look for a second. I thought there was someone new in here, and then it's like, oh, no, that's the stab of Regni. Stave?
Stab.
Stab.
Yeah.
Who are you stabbing? Oh.
You were mentioning earlier on, I think it was about the Hopi, was it the Hopi Indians?
Uh-huh.
And you were saying about perhaps, you know, the European culture doesn't know much about.
Well, I mean, let's put it this way: official history. Do I think some Irish culture knows? Yes. Do I think some Europeans know? Yes. Do I think that culturally they're teaching the right things? No. That's what I mean by that, by the way.
Oh, right, yeah. Well, my one of my parents, well, my mother, she was she came from Romany people, gypsies. And she taught us cultures and ways that you wouldn't get in the mainstream schools or anything like that. So, and a lot of them I've looked into seem to sort of have the same theme as a lot of these Indian people. There's this word indigenous. What does indigenous mean, really? You know, what is it really meant to mean? You know?
Well, to Native American people, they came from this land. They did not come from other places. That's the important thing to understand to begin with, is that in their culture, if they came from anywhere, it was from within the land. They came up from a place that they were hidden from the last life, and prior to that, there were 3 other creations prior to the flood.
Right.
So, in essence, the flood was the last event that most people only have a knowledge, if you will, in their history of from flood forward. The Native American people go back 3 different creations prior to that, or some go back 4. Do you understand? And that's where some people don't get it, because the history is, they say, well, how could a person who was from, and they think heathen, you know, they're natives, you know, they think, they think of that, you know, or like what they saw in the American Westerns or the spaghetti Westerns, you know, the Native Americans were always sort of the protagonists, but really it was the white Europeans who were the protagonists. I mean, there was a time, I don't know if you guys have ever been to Disney property like Disneyland. I know you got Euro Disney there in France.
No, I've never been.
Okay, well, Disneyland used to offer here, the first Disneyland, which I'm kind of a fan of. If you look behind me, there's a map. I mean, I like Disneyland, okay? But Disney's first property had what they called Tom Sawyer Island. Tom Sawyer Island now is a thing about, it's called Pirate Island or something now, but back then they had a fort there called, what was it, Fort something. And kids would go into the fort, and you could look across the river that was there, the fake river, and you could see the Native Americans over there. And they used to, every once in a while, have the Native Americans come to attack the fort, and the kids could sit there and with their guns, or fake guns, sit there and pretend to shoot the Native Americans as they came over to attack the fort. Well, what they failed to tell us is why the Native Americans were attacking the fort. And if I'd known that, I probably wouldn't have shot at them. Are you still with me?
Yes, yeah.
I just think that's ridiculous, don't you? That they were actually doing that.
With the kids and everything, it's teaching, isn't it? Teaching, schooling.
It's all about our education and who educates us.
Yeah.
I mean, we could get all paranoid about it, and I can tell you who it comes from, but there's nothing you can do about it, and it's never going to stop. That's the sad fact about a lot of this stuff, guys, and that's what I hate to tell people, is there's nothing they can do to stop some of it, because it was around long before you were born. Some of these plans were eons old. Eons old.
Yeah.
Not yesterday's plans, not something even from the 1800s, but eons, not even 1700s. People go, oh, the Illuminati started in 1776. No, these plans go back way further than that. And they continue on through those other plans, but it's so tricky that everybody falls for it no matter what you do. We can't, if we live in this culture, we are falling for it by living it. If you watch TV, you're falling for it. If you're on the internet, you're still falling for it. Because it's part of this whole process of what we're going through now. I'm falling for it knowingly, knowing that the main thing I'm doing here is trying to be the love that can destroy it eventually. But that's not going to happen for a while. In my world, in my worldview. Of course, now I don't expect people to all ascribe to what I think. I'm giving my opinions, and they're just opinions. But it's 55 years of making mistakes and learning and reading and studying and being involved in religions and ideas and philosophies and spending the last decade on the internet trying to promote love in one way or another.
Well, there's a big, you know, not stink, but we're all hypocritical.
Absolutely. I'm a total hypocrite. I don't do love well. But I know what I want to see in myself and others, and I'm going to continue to try.
It's kind of difficult not to be hypocritical, you know. It's, I mean, I'm speaking to you on the internet, which is obviously, I mean, whichever way you want to look at it.
And anybody, let me say this, anybody who seeks privacy, who talks about privacy, shouldn't be on the internet at all. So these people who get on there and they're trying to hide themselves, and I'm anonymous and all this bullshit, that's bullshit. Sorry, you're believing a lie. It's all in your head. Everybody, they know what you're doing. Every keystroke, folks, every single keystroke, whether you take it out or don't. Sorry, that's the way it is. So accept it if you're here. That's how...
I'm all right. I'm all right. I've got a mask.
Did you get it from Alex Jones? I heard he's got some kind of like a supplement too to make you really strong, like he is.
Well, it always seems.
Did Glenn Beck get a hold of you? Because he's after some things too.
They always seem to have. Is it a grin? Is it the expression a grin on Guy Fawkes, or is it a smile? What is that image?
I think the Guy Fawkes Max is a little bit evil, if you ask me. I mean, it looks just a little bit like, hey, we're getting away with something here. Now that doesn't. I don't want to put down any. First of all, any of this mockery I do as ideas, not people. If you're an anonymous person and you believe that you're anonymous and stuff, I'm going to educate you. You're not, but I'm going to also let you be who you are. I'm going to accept that, and I love you in spite of it. And I want to make that clear. That's how I look at everything. I have opinions. I have ideas. I believe the Earth's round, not flat, but that doesn't make me evil. And it doesn't mean I'm going to judge you by the fact that you think the world's flat. I'm not going to call you an idiot, and I'm still looking into it. You know what? You said look into it. I am. But you know what I keep finding? I find assumptions. I find people who go back there using like the book of, they're saying, well, with the Bible, you know, God said that man's the center of the universe, and they talk about the dome and all that. And it's going back to biblical stuff, which can never be proven. So, I mean, I'm a spiritual person, but I don't sit here trying to say that just because everything's literal, that we don't take things literally. In fact, if you don't know about Kabbalah, you're not reading the book of Enoch right, and you're definitely not reading the Revelations right. You're just trying to read it as a almost like you don't, like an unschooled person. You have to study at least some Kabbalistic symbolism and understand the Kabbalistic meaning of numbers, the Kabbalistic meaning of things, to understand how that what it actually says. And when I read Enoch, I hear something completely different than what these people who are trying to read it like it's some kind of like instruction book of science. It's not. It is a book of codes that once you get into you take Enoch, or you take all of these books that are written in code, and you go back and you apply them to the original template, which ends up being the Kabbalistic writings of the Zohar, for example. These are Jewish writings, and I realize there's people amongst that say, well, I don't agree with the Jewish thing. Well, sorry, but most of life now is run by a Zionist interest. Oh, God, now you're an anti-Jew. No, I'm non-pro-Zionist. There's a difference. I love Jewish people. I do not like Zionism for what it has done in the world. And that's a difficult thing for some people to hurdle with me, because they don't get that I know the difference. I've studied that difference. I've looked into what is political Zionism and what is Judaism. And I see that some Jews are Zionists, but not all Jews. And even in these countries where they say, oh, they hate the Jews, go look at like Iran. Iran has Jews sitting on their cabinet, and they're supposed to hate Jews. Why do they don't hate Jews, they hate Zionists. It's very complex, and unless you get into it politically, you don't know. And that's how all these things are. And people who look into all of this stuff don't take all of this history and knowledge, the symbolism, the understanding of the symbolism. Most people don't have time to study that crap anyway, okay? But they still delve into the books that try to prove this idea. No, we are on a sphere, in my opinion, because everything I've ever learned and seen has proven to me that it is. I'm willing to look, but none of your proofs so far have been proving enough. The sun reflecting off an ocean, making a little spot. There's reflectivity things that create all sorts of odd occurrences. I've looked into all of these different things. What's funny is the thing where they're using this thing where there's a spot where the sun, I don't know if you guys have followed any of this, and some people probably don't know, but they show the sun and they show it's reflecting on this little spot on the ocean, and that's supposed to mean the sun is small too. Okay, because you can see this little reflection of something that looks like a reflection. But I also know how light works, and light can be modified. I was a magician. I know how the illusions that light can create. But I thought what was most ridiculous about it was the very thing they're showing with this thing with the light is showing the curvature of the earth in the background. You can see the distinct curvature. Oh, but it was done with a fisheye lens, they say, to fool us. But I don't get it. I don't really understand it. Again, I'm looking into it for those people who have asked me to, but every step along the way, I find another thing where assumptions are made, and then they start judging people. Well, all those globe earthers, they're all evil, and they just believe in science, and they're denying God. No. That's a great misstatement against other people. That's a judgment on other people. You're judging me. And the thing is, I'm not going to tell you that. I'm not going to be what you claim I am. I'm no monster to you. Just because I differ with you in your opinions doesn't make me, say you're an idiot. But that's what they're trying to say. A lot of these videos I find actually are about defending yourself as a believer in the flat earth. And all it is arguments that you can use when they tell you you're dumb. Oh, be strong and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, dude, I want to love you. But if you only insist if you start to look at me as a person who has to believe in your way in order to be accepted, then you're the judge, because I will let you believe in your flat earth while I will still love you, though I believe in a globe. Actually, I believe in the booger earth. Let's get it real here. Okay, I believe in what I call the booger or poop earth. Do you know what I mean by that? If you were to take all the water off the earth would be an ugly planet. Go look, because the earth would have dips in it from the seas. And so it would end up looking more like one of those, just really, it would look like some rock from Star Wars that came and almost hit the Millennium Falcon, rather than like a planet like we think of as a round ball. I mean, these people insist that the planets, the seven, they call them they're using just Enoch and other biblical things to try and insist that these planets that we're seeing are life forms. Yet I have clearly looked through a telescope, and unless you've got some kind of specialized computer chip that went in every telescope since the beginning of time, I personally witnessed that these are round spherical things. I've seen Mars, I've seen Jupiter, I've seen Venus. These are not living beings. I'm sorry, I don't buy that, and I don't see any evidence for it. And yet these people are insisting this stuff. And I don't say this stuff out of hate. I don't say it because I'm mocking you. I say it because wisdom says I must speak truth, just as you are claiming that wisdom says you must speak truth. But let's find the truth. instead of just insisting that our truth is the truth. I don't insist my truth is the truth. I just haven't had enough evidence yet presented to me that I couldn't dispel and couldn't say, wait a minute, but this is just opinion, or this is just religious idealism, or this is just a concept, or this is just an illusion of visuals. Because as a magician, a performing magician for many years, I was around like Jerry Andrus and Professor Ray Hyman. These are people who are known on global basis to be perception experts, and I was around them as a young man studying this, learning about perception. So I have a pretty good eye for fakery, and for people who are using a fisheye lens or people who are faking things, I would see it. Oh, what about the moon landing? Well, I have some questions about the first moon landing, but that doesn't mean the world's flat. And that doesn't mean that I'm stuck on the idea that the moon landing was a fake. I just say they have every reason to fake it, and there are some questions that in studying that I've had about that. But you know what? That doesn't make the world flat, and it doesn't change anything. And frankly, whether there's a God or no God doesn't mean anything about the shape of the earth. People are trying to say, well, you can't believe in a round earth and not believe in God almost. This is almost what they're trying to infer in some of this stuff. And a person can certainly believe in whatever they want and still believe in whatever they want. And that's how we should accept each other. You can't just lock your friends into only those who believe what you believe, because then you lock yourself into a trap of your own making where you will believe an error. And that's why my friends are diverse, by the way. People often have said, dude, you got friends. I've seen people in your friends list I would never be friends with. And I'm like, so you shouldn't be looking at my friends list, judging my friends. Some of the people who you might think are some of the darkest people are some of the people I've actually found are some of the most honest people.
I think you make a good point, James, because it does start to get to a point where, you know, your own freedom of speech becomes under attack by your own actions for what you've done to, well, as you think, protect your own. But really, if you start protecting other people's freedom of speech, you'll find that your freedom of speech will go a lot further.
Let me explain this to you. I can differ with your opinion. You might believe something so counter to me that I just would find it repugnant. But let me tell you something. I may disagree with you, but I will defend to my death your right to believe and think and say anything you want, because that's freedom within reason. I mean, so long as you don't harm other people knowingly or harm children. Some people have brought up that, well, what about my mom does this every once in a while. She goes, what do you do about those people because we talk about this love thing. What do you do about those people who are, you know, with NAMBLA? You know, what do you do with those? Are they good or bad people? And I was like, well, they're damaged people because they want to harm children. Now, they may in their own minds think they're not harming children because that's what they don't think. If you go and look at the NAMBLA website, which, by the way, I have, in their own way, they think they have a point. And I will protect their ability to write their point down. However, I will not stand for them harming children. Is that clear? I mean, in other words, you have the right to say whatever you want, but if you harm somebody, if you do something to somebody, you got to deal with what's righteous, and that means whatever is your due.
Yeah, that's responsibility. But where I'm coming from, and let's put it this way: then more of freedom of speech. Let's say more of a right to have an open mind. I think that's quite important as well.
Well, you can't have an open mind if you're not educated.
True.
And you're not educated unless you can get a full idea of everybody's position. And you can't do that unless you expand your friendships, for example, or your understandings of people out to the edges of things and look at the fringes, as well as your own. I mean, I have my circle of friends who agree with me and believe in me, and I believe in them, you know, but I have to say, and we agree on a lot of things, but I also have people who are totally disagree with me, who I get along with in spite of their disagreement with me, because I refuse to hate them just because we differ. I won't learn anything myself, nor will they learn anything, and whoever's right is going to win. I believe in love, so I believe love's going to win, even though I fight with love using a whole different thing than I'm right, you're wrong. See, I'm not right, you're wrong. I'm willing to hear you out. Maybe I'm wrong. But let's let love win. Let's let truth win. Let's let honesty win. Let's let share with me not a bunch of ideas of just how we think, but also share me the scientific knowledge, the wisdom of everything that you can point at. Give me, you know, the Wikipedia entry so I can educate myself. If you,
I get where you're coming from, James, but there's only one thing that I'll have to argue with when it comes to this love thing. Yeah,
please.
People who do things that you would consider to be right or righteous, they love doing what they do.
What you're talking about are those that are lost in evil.
When you're putting out, well, if you're looking at it on that level, you don't necessarily have to be that way. But it's just an opposite thing to what you normally consider yourself being able to do. Like, we've all got different perceptions. So something that, you know, you're against, somebody's really, you know, pro for it, you know, they love it to an extent where they can't get enough. So spreading love can only boost somebody into like doing more of the bad habits that, well, as you perceive as a bad habit, but they don't see it like that. So that's the thing with love. For it to have any effect or anything, for it to manifest things, you've got to be able to put it across to the person from their way of understanding.
Do you know how I deal with those kind of people, though? Basically, I try to remember that hurting people hurt people, and therefore the reason that they're doing whatever, I mean, they may not feel sorry for it, they may feel they're justified, but they're still, if they're hurting somebody,
they don't see anything wrong with it.
No, but see, I go back psychologically to say, okay, let me tell you a personal story, and I can talk about this because it's now, you know, pretty much out in the open, and it should be discussed. And that was that after my father's death, I found out he was molesting my grandson for years. Okay, my father was molesting my grandson for years. How do I love my father in spite of the fact that I think that was the most scummy thing that you could possibly do? And I still love my father, but I realized something. Here's something you didn't probably take. When you heard that, you probably thought, well, your father's a dick. Let me tell you something. You know what? When he got sick, his mom molested him when he was a boy for years. So my heart goes out to the hurting who are hurting others, because I realize why they're hurting others, and that gives me the ability to love them. And so if we can get to the heart of that pain, they can be healed. The problem is getting to the heart of it. Most of them don't want to admit it or think about it. Most of them are undeniably angry.
And that's where I'm coming from. Same. I mean, I wasn't expecting you to talk about a situation like that to explain what we're talking about.
But it's a real situation that points out how we can accept people in spite of the evil they do.
I agree, but at the same time, you know, we're still left with that one sticky situation where the people who are on opposite ends to it, they've got there's zero tolerance to people like that. Absolutely no, there's no excuse you could possibly have to do such a thing like that. And they're the people that will not work to ever better you. They haven't got time for you. They don't even think you deserve something like that. So trying to get across to people like that without it causing a divide, because let's face it, it's all about divide these days.
Well, there are some people you have to X out of your life. Let's be clear about this. After you've given a person a chance to find the love or to offer them the healing, and they spit in your face and deny it and hate you, then there's a point at which they've made their choice. They're walking off. That's what they want. They don't want the healing. They don't want the offer of any kind of love. And that's their choice. It doesn't really affect you or I. It affects them. What do we do with them? Well, you know what? I do believe in karma. I do believe that those things where people have taken and put upon them, they're missing out. They're living in their own hell. They live in, some people who are angry live in such anger that every day that's all they are is angry. And you know, that's a hell to some people. You know, for the first time in my life, I really have found a place where I'm truly satisfied and happy, and that's in living in this love that I've found. Getting rid of all of those fears, not worrying about, knowing they're there, but not worrying about it. You know, more or less just saying, fuck all of the problems, I'm just going to be the love, and that's the solution anyway. So as long as I can manifest that and help other people to manifest that, we're going to win in the end.
I think majority of people, James, already do that, and as bad as the world appears to us on a daily basis, I don't think the people are as bad as that. In majority.
No, overall, we're taught that we're far worse than we are. But it all starts off with the whole idea that we're told we're sinners from birth, and I don't necessarily agree with that philosophy. But that's for another show.
Well, it's exactly the same point. Right? We're talking, yeah, it's a similar thing, isn't it? Really, it's what causes these never-ending conflicts and collisions with people's thoughts, and that's when the division starts. If we're ever going to get any way forward from any of this, we've got to accept the actual problem.
Yes, and then we have to be willing to take the action necessary to make the adjustments within, not other people. This is the clue. I'm gonna get. It all starts right.
An opportunity. I don't really see it so much as a problem. All problems become opportunities anyway. So
right, exactly.
Really, if you should be thankful for it. Really, if we've not already gone through that process, which, as far as I know, in history we haven't. So, me personally, I've looked at past civilizations and how they've come and gone, and let's face it, we've tried everything. Nobody can come up with anything new. So maybe we've missed it. Maybe we've gone by it and we've just forgot about it and moved on to something else for whatever reason. And we're just going around in this cyclical, vicious, whatever it is.
We are going around in a cycle, bro. I mean, that's why the prophets knew what was going to happen, in a sense, because I mean the written history of many of those prophets was on the earth before, in a sense, before what we would look at as our own knowledge of history. So prophets were studying the ancient histories, and they could see these cycles. This is why, if you read Ezekiel, people read this thing where Ezekiel saw the wheels. What did he talk about? He talked about the four faces. Well, those are the four cardinal signs of zodiac, which is the heavens. That's what's around us. Okay, so there's a lot of there's a lot of truth in these things if we really read past I forget where I was going with that, but there's a lot of truth. And the wheel, oh no, I know where I was going. Wheels represent time. It's indicative of time. That's where I was going to go with that. It's indicative of time. When Ezekiel sees the wheels, he's not seeing a UFO, he's seeing time. That's the wheels we're going through. And the four faces tell us that, in a sense, because that's saying the four cardinal directions. That's how we from the standpoint of the zodiac prior to clocks and date setting calendars was what we had. So that's how we told what the times were. And those are the four cardinal signs. So it's telling us that's about time. And time tells us if we go back in time, we see these same cycles go over and over and over again. Basically, they're like a spiral. We come around to the same point in a different way. But we always come around to the same point again. We're self-destructive. We're spiraling down most of the time until we destroy ourselves. And it's like the phoenix. We end up rising back up again.
I've come across these people now, and there's quite a substantial following to it as well. Who've got this theory method, call it what you will, of not doing anything. They see the best thing to do is absolutely nothing at all. Don't get involved with politics or anything like that, religion, and that's their way of getting out of this mess.
I don't think we can avoid those things because they'll always be with us. So we have to learn how to use something called acceptance, which means that, like, for instance, I might not like racists, but I accept they exist, and I'm not going to, just because they're racist, I'm not going to go, oh, well, I'm not going to be your friend, because what influence can I have over them unless I let them be in my friend circle? So I let racists and crazy people and hurtful people and angry people be all in my friends, because oftentimes those are the ones who I see come to me later and go, man, you're different. They're the ones who see the difference in me. The people who are like me see the sameness. And I hope they're getting out and healing people and helping people and being the love, which means spreading positive messaging, not all the problems of the world, but how do we solve the problems of the world? Those are the solutions. I mean, this is one thing I see less of in the community of people, unfortunately, that are socially active on pointing out the problems, like the Illuminati and all these different problems. What's the solution? I've never really found one myself. That's why I kind of gave up and gave in to love. Because I figure that's going to win in the end anyway. So no matter what happens here and all the things and who gets into control, as long as I have the ability to love and have the freedom to love it in both my head and in my heart, they can't control me. I'll die under that. But death is what? I mean, what are we? But just like that life anyway. I'm 55 years old. Most of my life's gone. I'm not worried about death. Death doesn't scare me anymore. Pain does, how I die does, but death itself, that's the door to the next life. I'm okay with that. When that happens, I'm ready because I have love. Once you have love, you got the key to the door, and that's all you need. There's no what's the magic word or what name do you go by. It's all about, did you have the love in your hearts? The Egyptians looked at it as the weighing of the feather of Ma'at. You ever heard of that, guys? It's basically this idea that there's this thing you have to go through after you die. It's a book of the Egyptian Book of the Dead talks about, and you go through this whole big thing, and you have to face different Cerberus and all this. And then at the end, before you can get into the heaven, there's a scale, and on that scale is a feather. And that feather represents the weight of love you need to have in you to get through, because it's your heart, which represents love, is weighed against the scale of Ma'at. And if your heart has more love than the weight of that feather in love, you get to go through the gates into the heavenlies. And to some degree, I kind of believe in that. Now, that's oversimplification, and it's kind of a physiological look at what I believe is going to be a somewhat spiritual reality. But to me, I don't put a lot. I got 100 years here, 120 years maybe, if I'm lucky. And then after that, what's the rest of eternity to my soul? If I have a soul. If I don't have a soul, I'm cool with that too. So that's the thing. I talk to people who say, what happens if you don't have a soul? I say, well, then I die, I'm at rest, I'm okay, And if you have a soul, I'm ready. I go on, I got love. I don't need a religion to do that. I don't need a political idealism. I don't need to be a Republican to get into heaven, okay? They would make you think that here in America, though, that all the Republicans are Christians and all the Democrats are Satanists. Not true. Right and left is basically a paradigm that was created just to divide us, just to conquer us, just to control us. To gain control of yourself, you latch on to love, because then you can do your own thing and you can party with both sides and still have love, and you win. It's a crazy thing, but it seems to be panning out so far for me. I'll let you know. We'll be doing the show and things, and I, of course, will be on Facebook. And I speak honestly. I mean, if I find that my way is wrong, I'm going to tell you. Believe me,
I'm not saying it's wrong, James. I mean, one thing you did say is, yeah, love, it's all good. But you also mentioned pain as well. Now, you can love all day long, but that's not going to stop those that don't decide to do things, the right way to stop causing pain to other people. It's still going to be the case.
Oh, I try to stop anybody that causes, like if I was on Facebook and I see somebody attacking you unrighteously, okay, now if you say such a statement like you're stupid and this person goes, well, you're a dumbass too, I'm not going to get involved because you started it. So, but unless of course I see it getting out of hand and you're out of line, in which case I'm going to take you off privately. But if I don't know that person and I want to make a statement on it, I'm going to defend you. I've done this in many websites. People who know me when I was on World Truth know that I would often step into arguments and things that weren't none of my business. What did I try to do? Find peace between the two sides. Figure out a way to step into the middle of it and figure out something they could both agree on rather than all this bullshit about you're on this side. We're on the same damn website. We must have something in common. We're on the internet together. We're human beings. We must have something in common. Let's find that. Let's stop arguing over these little differences, like, what you might believe about. One of the things that was on there a lot was,
One of the things that we've got in common, I'd say, quite, hectically these days, is that we're each other's oppositions. We've got to understand that. Not as in me and you personally. I'm just saying No,
we need a certain amount of that. You need iron sharpening iron.
Yeah, it's so good. Yeah, that's so good. It's individuality, it's uniqueness. I'm all for all them things. But the level of chaos or the aftermath or whatever it is that brings forth does leave us impacted, and because we don't know how to deal with it.
There's times when after something happens, it's a critical mass situation with somebody that really that's when the friend has to come in who just loves you and massages you. And I try to do that for people too. There's people I've watched lose fights and I go off to them privately, and I say, hey, do you need just a friend right now? I've watched internet wars go on for years, guys, and I've always ended up in the middle. And you know what? I've often ended up with both people from the sides coming to me separately thanking me. So, I appreciate the idea of trying to find unity even where there's dissension. Everything is one thing. So there's got to be some way to unite things. Even the most horrible things can be united in a way that might make those horrible things go away. In other words, if you could take and heal somebody who was an abusive, hateful person, and you could get into their heart and find out what caused that and pluck that crap out of them, and they might change. They probably would if you could help them to get rid of that pain. That like I say, hurting people hurt people. And when a person hurts, I want to help them. That's just the nature of a person who loves. We're healers by nature. We want to find a way to heal. Now, I'm not a guy. I can't put my hand on you and you're going to fix that broken leg. Now send me $10. You know, I'm not like that. What
yeah, no, but it's these rapid, you know, never amount of. I don't know. It's the consensus today. For example, let's just use this thing: terrorism. Right? You just get deemed a terrorist sympathizer if you start talking about accepting them and negotiating, talking to them, and
well, I've talked to a few members of ISIS on the internet. That's interesting. They're an interesting little group. They're messed up, but you know what? It's interesting to be able to touch base with people you would never touch base with. You know?
Well, I call it the 1, 2, 3, and the third one's always quite, you know, fascinating to see when it comes forth. In that case with terrorism, that's, you know, it's not different for religions, and then you get called racist, and you just can't win. We're just bringing something more into the mix. It's just a big mixing pot, and
again, that's why I kind of shy away right now from being opinionated too much. My opinions are here. I have them, but I think right now the biggest opinion I have is that humanity needs love, and that's controversial enough on its own.
What do you think about society, James?
Oh, I think if I were to classify how I see the planet, it's a very
Society, yeah.
Society is in a decline right now, globally. It is based upon the fact that as the human culture has become somewhat, well, I might compare it to the movie. Have you ever seen it? What is it? That movie, I don't want to say Idiocracy. Have you seen Idiocracy?
No.
Oh my god! If you haven't seen Idiocracy, you really need to. You know who Mike Judge is? Guy who developed Beavis and Butthead for MTV.
All right, yeah.
Okay. He developed this. So I'm gonna get I'm gonna pull it up here so we can find.
Show you share your screen and get some practice with that.
I'm trying different things today, so this is all, by the way, a test show. So if you're here watching, that's just what we're doing is we're playing around right now. So Idiocracy. I believe we're actually in this. I think that this is almost prophetic, though it's. I don't know. Maybe that'll be enough.
Well, Society, Matrix, Idiocracy. It sounds like that's.
They're re-releasing this because of the election. Watch Idiocracy for free. I don't know. I always question those. I'll just get the. Here's the IMDb on it. I'll post that for those interested. Oh no, here's the Wikipedia. Let me get that. I'll pull that up. I'm just looking for a description so you guys can see what it is. But I recommend seeing this. It's funny, and it shows what I think is happening on the reality scale. I think we are being dumbed down. Okay, I know that sounds like something real, Alex Jonesy, but frankly, I've seen. I believe evidentiarily. There's a thing. I think that's the. Let me see. Make sure that's it.
No, going back to when you were talking about Zionism and that, maybe.
Oh, that's you. Oh, wrong pose.
Maybe they're just fed up of doing things, behind closed doors and in secret. Maybe that's what it. Maybe it's all to bring about a common acceptance for them, so they can just do things.
That's weird.
Duck and dive.
Let me try this again. It brought up the. That was weird. I went to send this out. There we go. There we go. Okay.
Oh, yeah, it's not
hold on. I'm getting you a link here. Oh, Good Watch. What's this? Is this the movie available for free? Maybe I found it for you. Although in Britain it might be different.
I did get a link. I don't know where it's gone now. I still.
Oh, that's it. Hold on. Let me get you the. I don't know if it's free or what. I'm going to get you a web link here, and maybe you can actually go view it. But here's okay. Wait a minute. I'm trying to figure out how to get back here. I got too many tabs open at once. I gave you your own link earlier. Here we go. Let's put it on the. This is a place where you can get it. The Good Watch Idiocracy. Now I'll get you a description. Hold on. This is a Wikipedia. We'll try to get that. Let me see if I can do this right. Though. Somehow that didn't open right. Ugh. Computers are weird sometimes. I swear to God, my computer's alive. The reason I think.
Give your screen share a go so we can all see it.
A screen share. Ooh, let's see if I can do that. This is something new. I guess I got to learn to do this. How do I do that? I got to pull up the tools. All right. Where is it?
No, it's on your left-hand side. You'll see that green one with white tick.
The green one. Okay. If I hit that screen share.
Yeah, so. Stav, what's the Greek mythology on the side you've posted? Did you want to mention something on that?
Hold on. Start screen share. Hold on. We're going to see what I can do here. Up. I'm going to go over to this is from the, can you see that? I don't know what you're seeing on my screen. Can you see my screen? That's the Yahoo. Here's the Idiocracy from, says Idiocracy is a 2006 American satirical science fiction comedy film directed by Mike Judge and starring Luke Wilson and Maya Rudolph and Dax Shepard. The film tells the story of two people who take part in a top-secret military hibernation experiment only to awaken 500 years later in a dystopian society where advertising, commercialism, and cultural anti-intellectualism have run rampant and is devoid of intellectual curiosity, social responsibility, and coherent notions of justice and human rights. One of the funniest things in this film, let me give you the plot. Here it says, and I'll try not to do the killer of it, but this is so funny. A U.S. librarian, Corporal Average Joe Byers, is selected for a suspended animation experiment on grounds of average appearance, intelligence, behavior, lacking in suitable female candidate. They hire Rita, a prostitute whose pimp, Upgrade, has been bribed to allow her to take part. The experiment is forgotten when the officer in charge is arrested for having started his own prostitution ring under Upgrade's tutelage. 500 years later, Joe and Rita's suspension chambers are unearthed by the collapse of a mountain-sized garbage pile, and Joe's suspension chamber crashes into the apartment of Fredo Pendijo, who expels him. The former Washington, D.C. has lost most of its infrastructure, with people living in plastic huts called domicile. The human population has become morbidly stupid, speak only in low registers of English competently, and profoundly anti-intellectual, and are named after corporate products. Suspending hallucination, Joe enters a hospital where he is incompetently diagnosed and comes to realize what has happened to himself and his society. He's arrested for not having a barcode tattoo to pay for his doctor's appointment, and after being assigned Fredo as his grossly incompetent lawyer, he is sent to prison. Rita returns to her former profession. Joe is renamed Not Sure by a faulty tattooing machine and takes an IQ test before tricking the parents into letting him escape. Once free, Joe asks Fredo whether a time machine exists to return him to the year 2005 and bribes him with promises of riches through compound interest on a bank account Joe will open in the 21st century. Fredo knows of one and leads him and with Rita to a giant Costco store where the tattoo scanner identifies Joe. He is apprehended. He's taken to the White House where he's appointed Secretary of the Interior on the grounds that his IQ test identified him as the most intelligent person alive. In a speech, President Camacho, a former professional wrestler, gives Joe the impossible job of fixing the nation's food shortages, dust bowls, and crippling economy within a week. Joe discovers that the nation's crops are irrigated with a sports drink named Brondo, whose parent corporation has purchased the FDA, FCC, and USDA. When Joe has the drink replaced with water, Brondo's stock drops to zero, and half of the population lose their jobs, causing mass riots. Joe is sentenced to die in a monster truck demolition derby.
Dad used to get a few shillings in those days. Now, what we used to do, our giving had to come from not buying. No buying.
Right.
We learn how to give without buying. Today's people have to learn how to give without buying. And it's a consumer love. They have to give up. Well, I don't say they have to give up consumer. Who am I to say anything? But it's a difficult thing to get through the people of this generation now, where they've not had to have lived the life perhaps my generation, a lot of us grew up in where there was very little, if any, money, and everything you gave was unconditionally without pretty much money. So I get you from the get-go. I understand that because I'm of that generation, you know. That helps me. You don't have to be of that generation, of course, but it does help me because my upbringing was from a very, very poor, financially poor, rich in all other ways.
Right.
That's it.
Your question,
that's basically
bro?
it.
Okay.
That's basically it. Yeah.
That's a question?
Well, it's a philosophy, if you like, of, I don't know. How do you get over to people today who will not understand that?
Oh, well, I think part of it, like anything else, there's some static on here. Angela, I think that might be your line. I'm not sure.
Oh, is it really? Oh dear. Can you hear me this time?
Yes, I can, Angela. I can hear you perfectly. It's just I was getting some static there.
All right, I'll try.
It's down a little bit. I don't know how it happened, but I just was. I grew up. I was fortunate in that I grew up with parents who needed. Well, my dad was fairly well off, though they were a farming family. My mother came from extreme poverty, and she grew up in Hollywood, California, where basically not many people know this, but Hollywood Boulevard is like this street that goes down Hollywood Boulevard. On one side of it is Beverly Hills and all the rich homes, and the other side of it is all the poor part of town. But when the kids were growing up, they would grow up in that center thing. So my mom played around with all the old stars. Her first boyfriend was Alan Alda from MASH, or things like that. So, but she was poor, and she taught me that things didn't make you happy. That it was about the inner being that got happy. So in fact, I talked to my mom today and I said, Mom, thank you for teaching me how to love, because I take that out of the internet. So my mom was happy because she feels like she's being expanded out. Her teachings, her ideas are being put out there as well. The thing I remember, though, is her teachings of me about being poor and the fact that we do have to give from the heart. We do have to think in terms of what can we do to be creative. And frankly, I don't know what to do about the young people today, because they've grown up in a generation that they were pretty much given stuff. They were pretty much handed everything and told, we're going to take care of you. But the sad fact is that we've got to somehow learn how to do these things first and show people how to do it. So in other words, we have to teach our kids by maybe not giving them as much. Maybe at Christmas time, for example, if you've been used to louding your kids with lots of presents, maybe teach them to go get a gift. Let's go get a gift and give it to some impoverished family, and go there to give it to them. So you actually, get to see it going into the hands. There's nothing more joyous, by the way, than handing something to a homeless individual. I have seen tears. I have given them hugs, and they've told me that they haven't been hugged in months because nobody wants to touch the homeless, But I'm willing to take the risk because love is worth that. It's a risk because they might have body lice or any number of things, you don't know, but that's what people. But hugging people, teaching your kids how to love the poor will teach them more about poverty, I think. So it's important. I think a parent instill in their kids that not everything's a given. Don't be so quick to get them the latest iPod or iPad. Make them deal with the idea of earning things. Make them responsible. Make less gifts and more responsibility. We need a more responsible generation of people, if I were to say what our young people need to do. Learn to respect elders again. I think we need to teach people to get back. If you're talking about young people and gratitude and all these things, they're not going to, unless they respect us, they're not going to listen to us. So part of that is what I go back to, which is it all starts with you. You've got to learn self-respect. You've got to learn to use your integrity. You can't worry about what other people think. And then when your kids see that, they're going to be more in tune with you. So a lot of it's what you do.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, and it wasn't really a question. It was
a statement, but I just sort of elaborate.
A statement, yeah, kind of, if you want to call it a statement. But we used to do. I mean, whether schools do it today, I don't know. I'm so much out of touch with with this now because my life has changed. I've decided to go in the way I have, which takes me away from this big society business. I'm not really part of society, but that's my choosing. It doesn't come cheap either, but that's by the by. But we used to have something, not to get confused with the American term of it. We used to, every time a year before Christmas, we had this thing we did in schools called Harvest Festival. Now, Harvest Festival was that you brought things to school, food things like cakes, joints of meat, things, all types of things, and then we'd redistribute them around all the old people's places. And in those days, they weren't cared for in centres like they were now. They were sort of like, some people still lived on their own, but they had no family members, they were elderly. And we'd go around and give these, you know, food and things, and Christmas mince pies, all this sort of thing. But we would go there and do this. I don't know whether kids do it in school today. And that sort of taught you how, you know, but we didn't take pictures of it and videos and put it on. We didn't have the internet. We wouldn't have done that. We wouldn't have done that because it wasn't about that.
We live in a me generation, though, now. Everything's about them. Everything centers around the individual. By the way,
school would forbid that. They wouldn't allow that. For if there was a poor child that wasn't able to bring something to school to do that, so they'd ban that straight. Because that just caused bullying. You're on about bringing food and things to school, yeah, and then distributing it out to less fortunate.
Yeah, the children distributed.
Yeah, they won't have that. They won't have that in school.
This time of year, by the way, I encourage people to go through their old coats, their old socks, anything that they can get rid of. The socks, coats, warm clothes, sweaters, and either give it to a place that distributes that, or the most joyous thing a person can do, if you got the guts to do, is find an open place where people who are homeless meet and actually sit there and watch them partake in this. You'll see some amazing things happen. Poor people don't grab stuff. That's the crazy part. You'd expect them all to dive in and go, give me that, because they lose that. Some of them have so lost themselves that really, in a way, they're more healthy than some of the people who are just me, because they're starting to say, I took stuff out one time, and they're like pulling stuff out, and they're going, hey, this coat would work for you, Ethel, and hey, this would look good on you, Bob, and you know, you see the love amongst each other amongst those people, and to me, to see that, I mean, it brings tears to your eyes. I get to hug them, I get to have that moment, and these are real people. I've met some very wonderful and amazing homeless people. You know, if you just dare to do it.
Yeah, the culture. I say the culture. I don't.
These are things we have to teach how to do.
It's something that we were brought up with, and it was natural for us, and we got it. We had to get it because a lot of the children I went to school were in the same boat as me. There weren't many rich kids at my school. There were very rich, not many rich people within the village. Farming in the UK then, you wasn't wealthy, you were pretty poor.
We live in a day and age though where even poor people now have iPhones and shit, so they become spoiled even though they're poor.
James, I don't even have one myself. I wouldn't have one because I don't need one. But I have the computer, and I just got one of these. This is a tablet. Hey, listen, if you need it, you have it, and that's it. But me, I live without one.
But it's great because I can be on my Facebook at the same time I'm doing stuff. See, there's my Facebook, and I can sit here and do this. I just got this recently. I finally, if you guys, most of you know, and you guys have known me for years, I spent a lot of time basically living almost in a vow of poverty to help the world. And when it taught me something very important, though, which was I don't need as much as I thought I did. And these are important to me. These things are important only because it allows me to communicate out there. So I can do, you know, I can touch more people with the idea of love. If you don't have people to love, you can't really love, can you? I mean, it's like.
Well, my bringing that up and saying that I don't need one, it doesn't. I wasn't making it. I wasn't trying to make a point of it or anything. And say that actually.
Nobody needs one. Nobody really needs one. Let's be honest. Nobody really needs the internet. If we get out and we do what we do in our community, we could have interactions without having to have this internet. It's a nice thing. I'm not going to diss it. I've used it for years and I enjoy it. And I enjoy being here. I love it.
Yeah.
But I'm not I found I spent 3 months off it and didn't miss a day. Meaning it was beautiful. I had another one of these and it broke down, and I said, and it was convenient to do in my room, and this is out in the main room, and so I was like, yeah, I just went, no, I don't even bother. I don't even want to get on the internet for a while. I'm going to take a e-cation, as I call it.
You
and
know,
I do that.
The other day, I was walking. I've got 2 dogs. Me and my partner got 2 dogs, and it's the highlight of my day. It's something we just love doing, and we go walking across the fields, and it's just great. And we walked back towards where we live, because I do live on an estate, which is quite a few houses around. And there was this group of about a dozen. I suppose about 14, 12, 14, 15, something like that. They were all sat in a ring on the side of the road, all looking at their hand units and speaking to other people on their hand units, but not speaking to themselves or making themselves something. And I found it bizarre, absolutely bizarre. I've never experienced it. I'd heard of it, and it was only...
I've seen it all over the place. And especially with this new Pokemon Go, that thing's like become some obsessive thing. And you just see kids walking around just mindless, going, I think there's a Pokemon here. You know, it's like, I don't know. It's brilliant marketing, but it's like sad because we become so electronically dependent that if our electricity goes off, I think we're just going to stand around going, that's all you got left, you know. That's about it. That's all you got left to do. The end of the world, you'll probably be doing this. All right. Anyway, pardon me for being a little out there, but I believe in being honest, and even my humor sometimes gets a little bit, if I offended anyone. Or Angela, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend you. Okay, good.
It made me laugh, anyway.
Okay, good.
You couldn't hear me anyway. Can you hear me well now, or is it still good?
Yes.
I hear you.
Is it not buzzing anymore?
No, you're doing okay.
Oh, good. That's all right. I just changed the settings. I just wondered. I don't know who you are. I think I know who the other guy's voice is. I think I've talked to him before.
Some people on here knew me as Adonis King for many years, and then I became James Kingsley, which is who I really am. So I've been on the internet now for quite some time, doing a lot of things on here. I started off about 10 years ago as a different, I kind of came on as a character, if you will, and then I spent 3 years as that character. He became fairly famous, got tied in with some celebrities and stuff, but it gave me a chance to kind of, you know, I had some radio background, so I sort of gleaned that. I've always been about the love thing. Everything was about trying to teach love. Then I did Adonis King, which was more of my radio guy. He became more of my political hand. He was more of the political operation, if you will, and I became very political for a while and tried to change the world with politics and fear. A lot of it was fear-based, I admit. You know, a lot of it's like, the end of the world's coming, you better be ready. And that, yeah, I played that out. I realized that was just an adrenaline rush. It wasn't something that was, you know, the end of the world never really occurred. So it was one of these things where I eventually just had to realize, I'm just going to be me. I'm just going to keep promoting love, and whatever happens out there, happens out there. I'm going to worry about what's happening in here and encourage other people to worry about what's happening in here. And that's why James Kingsley's here on the internet again, is to promote love and development of individual growth, not to judge people, not tell them how to get saved or what to be or how to think, but just to promote mutual love and understanding among people. And I've been, like I say, I've kind of been doing that for years in a roundabout way, even when I was doing the fear thing and all that. It's just that now, I guess it's kind of like been an evolution, and I've evolved to a level. I don't know if this is probably not where I'm going, but this is where I'm at now. And I
think we all go through all them different stages, don't we? Yeah,
and I'm 55 years old. I've got 3 kids, 2 girls and a boy. I've got 2 grandkids. And one thing I want to do is help the younger people to understand before I go what I saw and what I think would help the world, and what I see in them that are both good and bad points that they could develop upon or not. But I want to help people to grow up. I want to help people find love. I want to be available to heal and help people as I can. I'm not perfect. I'm certainly not the Christ, but I'm a person who would want to walk the same kind of walk as how I believe Jesus would have done it, which is about love and compassion and healing. And so I would hope in my own way and without religion, without necessarily ascribing to saying I'm a Christian or any kind of, title, I want to follow that same path. I would call it the same path as people like Martin Luther King followed, that maybe Michael Jackson followed to some degree by teaching the world to love. It's a dangerous position. Apparently you die in it, but I'm not worried about that. What I'm worried about is just doing my part in what I feel called to do in whatever way that is. And that calling has been with me for a long time. It comes out in different ways. Sometimes it's this, sometimes it's that. It's never meant to hit a whole huge, massive crowd. It's meant to hit key people. I'm an uplifter of key people. So, and those are the people who are going to change the world. It's not me who's going to change the world. It's you guys. I'm just doing my part to inspire you to do it. It's how I see it. And that's my humbled path. My original way was, I'm going to change the world at all costs. I can do it. See, it was about me to begin with. Now it's about me being here to help others. And I will get blessed when everyone else is blessed.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think we all go through all those quite a few different stages, don't we? When we get to the point where we realize that, yeah, the world's always going to end, isn't it?
Oh,
it's our own world.
It's going to happen any day now.
Yeah, it is. It's our own world that's going to end.
I hope, and frankly, it needs to end because we need a new start. But I'm not talking about like, we don't have to end it with a bomb. I hope it doesn't.
No, I'm talking about death.
And that's another way it can end, and I think we all have to face that. But I think we can also use a daily end. I try to end and kill off the old self, if you will, the part of me I don't want, and every day reawaken to a newer me I want to be. See, I'm trying to be the best, most positive, most directed being, and I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. Took me down lots of bad paths. I've been a drug addict.
Don't you think? I mean, when you're saying this, because I often ponder this myself, and I think that. Like when you get older, like I'm 57 now. When you get older, you think to yourself, "Oh God, it's like cliche. Oh, if only I knew what I knew now." But the thing is, like when you talk about,
aren't you glad you really didn't?
No, but the youth have to learn their own mistakes. Like the people that were older people when you were a youth, they were saying the same thing, weren't they? I mean, that's the progression of life, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Nobody can teach you anything. You have to learn your own mistakes.
Exactly.
That's
and I also teach, in a sense, what I teach is this. You can't teach other people. You've got to teach yourself and then let other people see you. And then you tell them how you do what you do if they find that what you're doing is the right thing. Like I would hope that I'm a good example of what a loving, kind person is in my daily life. I don't think I always fulfill it as well as I'd like to. But I really am honestly giving it my best effort every moment. And I'm true to myself. I'm proud of me for having the integrity I now have. Whereas in my past, I can't say I had that kind of integrity before.
Well, exactly. There you go. That's what I'm saying about the youth. You know what I mean? And I heard you before, saying that, they're a bit of a selfish. But no, I think, the generation before us thought we were selfish. Don't forget, like we grew up in the sort of 60s.
Well,
70s.
we were still in that selfish. We were post-World War II. Post-World War II kids all basically were either the baby boomers on Generation X. I'm weird because I was born in 1961. Now, if you realize what 1961, so you're actually a baby boomer. I am first year Generation X, 1961. Go look it up. 61 was considered the first year of Generation X. So technically now, I don't know if I'm end of the baby boomer or beginning of Generation X because I really don't fit into either way per se. The traditional things between those two. I still have some of the spoiledness that came out of post-World War II when our parents went, we didn't have very much, so let's give our kids everything. I had that as a child.
Well, but of course, that's what you do. I mean, like, it's the same. You say you've got 3 kids. You've probably tried to give them more than what you had.
But I also, they had tougher lives because they both went through divorce. They all went through either divorce or some kind of hardship. I mean, they didn't have. My eldest daughter is she's got some problems where she's going for disability health-wise, but she's around. She probably she probably watches the show. She's on the internet a lot, and she's waiting. She's trying to get her disability. My youngest daughter, I'm concerned about because last I heard, it was my birthday, which was last May 2nd. That's the last time I heard from her. I haven't seen her on Facebook since or anything. But she was in jail, and she's had a really hard life. But again, it was because I wasn't around. And I can kind of blame myself for that a little bit, because I think I could have probably remained where I was and been able to be around her. But economics made me have to move out of the area where she was. And so she didn't have a dad. And fathers, probably more than a son needs you, a daughter needs you. So, and researching and realizing the importance of what I was to my daughters, there's a certain amount of guilt that comes out of that. But at the same time, I can use this as a forum to heal some of that, because even now my daughter comes to, like, when I do a show on my Facebook, because I do these things I call, we're just kind of like this, where I just talk. She comes and hangs out, and we have a chance to talk about some of this stuff in a public forum, which allowed me to publicly ask her forgiveness for my lack of being able to be the good father that now I know I should have been better at. You know, and she's like, "Oh, Dad, you're okay. That's fine. I've long forgiven you for anything, you know." But it's still, I hold that to me, you know.
I just think that we've got to be careful, you know, not to fall into the trap that the youth are bad, because I don't think they are. Do you know what I mean?
Not. They're not.
Yes, they've got you know, some of them, but there's always been like groups that have, you know, a bit crazy. But you know, there's in every generation. But you know, like, I must say, I know a lot of young people that I think that they're really cool. Do you know what I mean? They're great kids. And they have got compassion, and you know, I think, you know, we've got
today's kids. By the way, what I want to say about this generation of kids is they are amazingly quick learners, much more than my generation. Probably you've seen this too. They can pick up something. It's like my kids seem to be able to get the computer before I could. You know, it's like they just have this amazing ability to pick things up very quickly and learn very quickly. Wisdom-wise, they lack a lot of it, but their ability. Yeah, common sense, it doesn't seem to be there for a lot of today's youth. That doesn't mean all of them, by the way. Some of
absolutely, no, it doesn't.
You know, most kids, I love kids, and I love today's young people. I hang out more probably with, I'm kind of, for my age, I'm a little bit like, I like to hang out with younger groups more than like people my age. Many people my age don't understand me because I've kind of got a young spirit. I'm like a kid in some ways. I mean, look around me. I kind of, you know, it's a youthful environment. You know, I'm not a big guy who likes to be, I didn't want to wear suit and tie. I mean, I got my Roger Rabbit shirt on, you know, there you go. There's Roger. Anyway, everybody loves this shirt for some reason. I get more compliments on the shirt than any shirt I own. But anyway, so I get along with 20s and 30s somethings. But when you go above 40, for some reason, I get along, but it's like, I mean, I don't relate as well. And I don't know why. It's just me. You know, it's just the way I am, because I don't like getting old. Now, I run into people every once in a while who aren't aging, who I can get along with, who have that youthful spirit as well. Maybe you're one of them. I don't know. I mean, I can't say. But I run into people even up to their 60s that have the youthful spirit, and I love when I run into those people. Those people who haven't given up on life. Those people who aren't completely jaded, who only want to put on the suit and tie, only interested in making the money, only interested in, like, everything's a bummer, and they talk about their taxes and sports, you know. I mean, it's like, and there's no, you know what I'm talking about? The really dead to soul people. And I don't care what age you are, if your soul is young, and to me, all souls that know they're a soul and live and breathe as a soul, we're all the same age in a sense. We can either make that soul being young, or we can age it as well. We can go sit in a rocking chair and be like, oh dear, my life's over now. I'm just going to rock back and forth till I die. And a lot of people do that. They give up and get old. I don't plan on doing that. I got an 82-year-old mother who I'm going to get on here some of these days. And when you hear her, you're going to think she's like 30. Seriously. She sounds like she's still in her mid-20s, early 30s. She's got that exuberant attitude. She doesn't need a walker or any kind of special thing. She can still dance. She was a dancer professionally in Hollywood for many years. And she is just awesome. And I want to get my mom on here. I'm not necessarily a mama's boy because we've had our arguments and disagreements, but I do so much love my mom because she went through hardship. She taught me so much, and she did. she's the one who brought what love I have, the ability I have to express love that people often compliment me on and say things about. That really came to me through my mother's way of being. She always accepted me. She always loved me. She always encouraged me. She always saw me as being an important part of her life. I was never an irritation. I was never somebody that she just went, oh, okay, honey, I'll be there whenever, or any of that. She never left. She was a housewife back when you could be one, and it was a good thing to be, and it wasn't just sexist, you know. And she raised me to be a good person who respected women, and I do. I felt like, you know, using women or anything like that. I've always felt that women were precious. They're wonderful in their way of being, and I've always appreciated the wisdom of a woman. A woman is a strong creature. I mean, men wouldn't want to give birth. I can guarantee you that. There's no way you're going to. I asked any man if he could handle a birth who's ever seen a birth, and I will tell you, I've been to two of them, and where I was in the room watching this happen and hearing the screams and the pain and the needles and the cutting of the episiotomy and all that stuff, and I went, I ain't doing this. I couldn't do this.
I know it is funny because it's an amazing thing that you would think once you've done it once, you would never do it again.
Oh, when I saw you guys, a woman go through,
you do forget it altogether. And I always think the pain is there to bring. You know, it's. I don't know.
I've never seen a woman in such pain.
Yeah, it's mad.
It is. It's horrible. It's like, what do I do? Because a man wants to solve problems. That's our life.
Yeah.
And you know what? Here's another thing, man. I'm going to give you a little secret, maybe, and you can back me up, Angela. Okay, here's a woman's secret. Okay, you ready? Women love to tell you their problems, but they don't want you to solve them. They just want you to listen, because they're in there, as they speak, solving their own problems. But what do men do? We men always feel like we got to solve the problem. So then,
yeah, maybe women.
We go, well, here's what I think we should do now.
Yeah.
Am I right? Women can work out their own problems. They just need to verbalize it, and then your listening post.
Verbalize it. Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
They need somebody to listen But we seem to think we have to solve your problems, and that's not the case.
Yeah. Because you'd never do it right anyway, would you?
You are absolutely right, my dear. I like you, Angela. You're right on. You got the young spirit I like seeing in people. That attitude of goodness and love. That's important. I got to get out of here soon, though, folks. I got to take care of some stuff before the night ends. It's 5 o'clock p.m. here right now.
Oh, I see the daylight's still there. Where are you?
I'm in Oregon, on the west coast of the United States. So,
oh God, I feel so sorry for the United States. Might I feel sorry for us all with the choice you've got of who's going to be president over there.
Oh, you mean shit sandwich versus giant douche? Yeah,
exactly. What a circus!
It is, but I'll tell you, Monday, I'm so happy I got off tomorrow. I'm going to have tomorrow off. I'll probably do a show on my thing tomorrow because I got the day off because we do stuff where we call and we talk to people. I'm a manager for a fundraising company, so we call around town and we ask people for money, basically. And so because of the debates, it's felt that this is going to be probably the most watched debate ever. And people
is she going head to head with Trump?
Yes.
Oh, I love that.
Everybody's got. The only thing I would have liked to see better was had it been like, Hillary versus or Bernie versus Trump. I think I would have liked that.
No, I think it's got to be more better with Hillary. Oh yeah, this will be better than watching. I should imagine the Super Bowl or something. This. Yeah.
It's lion bitch versus lion bastard live.
They're both a set of crooks, aren't they? She's Hillary. She's killing everybody off, and he is just like you've got to admire it. I mean, he's mesmerizing to watch, Trump.
I'm looking forward to watching all of this. I think, and yes, the fact that he said everything that you could possibly say to be hated, and yet every time he says something really stupid, his ratings were going up. It's like, how do you do that? How do you go and say something that's racist, for example? It's obvious, or sexist.
I don't think he is racist. I think he's not saying racist things. What he's saying is what everybody's thinking. That's what he's saying, and that's why But I don't believe he's.
Let's define everybody. Okay, what he's saying is what everybody on the right is thinking. He is looking at. I'm not on the left, but I'm not on the right. I'm probably closer to left than right. So when I look at Trump, I see what his motives are. I can see how he's, doing what he's doing. I unfortunately have to make a decision because I have to vote not for somebody in this election, but against somebody. And that makes it an election of a shit sandwich versus a giant douche.
Well, why vote at all then? Why vote
because here's the deal. One of I'm trying to put this because I've tried not to share my political opinions too much because it divides, and a lot of the people I'm trying to reach, the minute I say I'm for or against somebody, are going to go, oh, well, and they'll shut me off. So I'm not going to say, I've always said I'm going to vote for the best candidate, but let's put it this way, and you can come to your own conclusions. One of the candidates has lousy foreign policy that just says, fuck you if you don't listen to us. That could get us into a major war with China, Russia, or any other country where bombs could be dropped and things could happen in the U.S. I can't vote for somebody. No, unfortunately, that's not. Hillary. If we go with Hillary, here's what will happen. We'll get 4 more years of this bullshit. It'll just be meh, but I'd like to have that rather than blowing up. Thank you.
Well, I would have thought it would be the other way around. I mean, she was the one that went in and demolished Libya and said,
I've already given away more than I care to give on this because if anybody's watching this, I've already lost about 20 friends because
I thought there's only us 4 in here. It's not.
I don't know. I don't know who's in here. It says we're presenting to everyone, so I'm not sure. It's everyone in the room or we're live, so we're going out over the channel. If people
that's the perception I've got. I mean, obviously I'm not in the United States, but that's the perception I've got. I would say that, she'd be, well, both of them, they're both idiots.
Well, first of all, I know Hillary dealt with foreign policy. She knows politics. Yes, it's politics as usual. Yes, it's bland. Yes, it's more Clinton years. Clinton years weren't that bad. They were just, so we're going to get 4 years of that. All right.
See, I have a totally different perception of that completely. I would say that she's like more of a mass murderer. And he is like a...
Except what did he say about look at what Trump said about what he would do about ISIS. What did he say he would do? Have you heard his statements on what he'd do?
No, I should imagine he'd probably be able to pick the phone up because aren't the Americans funding ISIS?
No, he made a definitive statement that's well documented. He said, just go bomb them. We're going to go bomb them. That's what he said. Now, do you realize where ISIS hides out? Hospitals, children's places, churches, whatever, synagogues, what do they call it? Temples, I don't care, whatever. They hide in a sense among the public. So where are we going to go bomb?
I don't know. I honestly think that. Do you watch mainstream TV or not?
I watch Fox News, which would be your Sky News. I watch CNN, which is I watch MSNBC, which would be something else. See, Sky News and Fox News are a bunch of bullshit because those are basically owned by one guy, and he basically that's that what's his name? What's his name?
Murdoch.
What? Murdoch. Rupert Murdoch. Rupee, as I used to call him. I actually did an anti-Rupee blog for a while. I was called Rupee Watch. It's probably still on the internet. But he basically gives the talking points to his people, the news people, and they have to do that or they get fired.
That's what I'm saying.
So that's why Republicans...
mainstream media do that. Mainstream media.
Right, of course. But I don't trust any, say, standard media other than to just give me hints as to where to look. What I do trust is I go on and I see whole speeches. Like, for instance, why didn't Hillary give us a transcript of her talking with the bankers who put us under here in America? Okay, she went and she got money from them, and she won't give us a transcript of what she said to them, which I understand was just this big love, kiss ass, oh, it wasn't your fault kind of speech, but she didn't dare release the transcript, so she actually had the transcript suppressed, and it got brought up at one of the you can go see it, Hillary with transcripts, and they kept saying, you didn't answer the question, because she kept evading it. She's really good at trying to evade and put it on, and she was, trying to go after Bernie.
This FBI investigation is a bloody sham as well. I've been watching. I just watch it for the entertainment value, actually, because it's hilarious. I mean, she gave them 8 emails, and God knows how many, and then he had to subpoena them. It's just like a bloody joke. I mean, I don't know why
both of our candidates are criminals. Let's put it that way. Both of our candidates are criminals. What my concern is I'm very opposed to anything that might lead to a war. So my vote will go to the least warmongery among the 2 candidates, because I have no other choice.
What is that? You can't say it's Hillary.
In this case, I'm voting against Trump. Let's put it bluntly, since I am not voting for Hillary, I'm voting against Trump. But the only person who can possibly take Trump out, if we start dividing up the Hillary vote, like some people are talking about doing, Trump will win. And if Trump wins, we're in trouble as a nation. So that's my view.
You need a revolution again. That's what you need in America, just to save the world.
We've needed that for a long time, but you know what? These people are go watch Idiocracy, the movie I was talking about earlier that I got, Idiocracy is about
You don't need to watch it. All you have to do is
you live in it. You live in it. Exactly.
We live in it, definitely. And you can, I mean, like, I can't believe the absolute bullshit that they come out with in American politics. It's frightening, actually. Frightening.
I have to admit, one of the things I love about British politics is watching British Parliament. It's so much more fun than C-SPAN, watching our own congressmen and senators, because at least there, when they get into a disagreement, it's like, hey, I'm going to pull up a fight. Yeah, they get into it. They really talk and scream.
Well, I would say that's
it's more entertaining. It's still more entertaining. It's more entertaining than C-SPAN. Go watch our Congress and our Senate. And see if you don't fall asleep in 10 minutes, okay? It's just boring as hell.
Well, I would say in Parliament, it's like a pantomime. Boo, yeah, laughing, and it's a bloody disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace the way they carry on everywhere. I'm in Ireland, and it's the same here. They don't actually boo and, like they do in the Houses of Parliament. And they have some great debates, but they don't do anything. I mean, we're not living in a democracy. None of us. None of the Western countries are a democracy.
I could make some more people pissed off and tell you what I know about what our basic Western culture democratic society really is based in.
It's a fascist society. It's nothing to do with bloody democracy whatsoever. Because like representative democracy is not democracy. What you do is you vote for some idiot to tell you what to do. That's what
basically.
Yeah, and it's like, why? I can't believe that the people are still playing into it and fucking voting for him. It's like, it should be like what Billy Connolly said, don't vote, it just encourages them. That's the truth, because it does. And they're always putting their wages up, and they don't even consult the people when they want to change things. It's a sham.
Yeah.
And we're still bloody going to the polls and listening to these feckers. They should be all cut off. They really should. I mean, we're in the 21st century.
Can I ask you a question? Let me ask you a question.
We've still got subservient to these bloody idiots.
Angela, let me ask you just a quick question, because this is something that I keep asking people, because I know what we need to do, but there's a problem that exists when we do it. Against these people that we feel are incorrectly running things. After we've got them, after they're gone, what are we going to do to reform society?
Well, there's better ways of following this.
But you're going to have anarchists with their way. You're going to have, the communists coming in with their way. You're going to have the right wing. No, but they'll all war over what kind of form of government to have.
Well, what about direct democracy, where the people decide?
See, I'm a democratic socialist by nature,
and
so I
decentralize everything, because that's how they've got this power. Because like when I was growing up, things were decentralized, and we've talked about this before with the other guy, I can't remember his names now, sorry, that was in the room. And it's like, you know, you had your councils and then you had your city, but, you know, it came from but now it's all everything's centralized, and that's what's gone wrong with the world. Because these people just think they can write, it's like a piece of magic. They write on a piece of paper, a statue.
But I often wonder.
By it. But who says I don't want to do that? Do you know what I mean? I don't want to do everything that they say. You know what I mean? I can run my own life. Mm-hmm. Do you know? Mm-hmm. It's just, you know, we're all in a slave plantation.
The question I have, though, is I could run my own life, and I know you could probably run yours, but what about those people who are still stuck in the mode that the world seems to be in right now? How do we convince them?
Switch the television off. You know, it's like that film, They Live, cut the signal. Because it's only the signal that's actually giving them thoughts.
I guess I say
they wouldn't have those thoughts if it wasn't for these. Like, they wouldn't have the smoke, you know, the bread and circuses, the bloody Kim Kardashians and bloody X Factors. If it wasn't for that signal, and and Fox News.
But here's what I'm saying is they've been raised and bred on that, and so what happens when you cut off the form of government they're used to that supplies them with all of that? Then what you're going to have is the anarchy of a lifetime, and it's going to end up, and even if you decentralize, and that becomes
What's wrong with anarchy? What's wrong with anarchy?
Well, it can lead to clan wars.
No, but I think that you're wrong about the actual term of anarchy, because like anarchy doesn't
I believe in compassionate anarchy. Don't get me wrong. I like compassionate anarchy as an idea. I don't know that it would work.
Like, you're using that word anarchy, like the media uses it as if to say it's all.
Are you familiar with? No. Are you familiar with what? No, you don't understand. I do know what compassionate anarchy is. I studied it. Are you familiar with compassionate anarchy? It is something. I'm going to give you some information.
I don't see why you need to say the word compassionate.
Because it's a form of because the word anarchy as a whole tends to mean it's like a melee. But
it doesn't. Not the real term of it.
That's why somebody actually put the word compassionate on it, because that fills in the gap. So
that's stress feeding into their double speak, isn't it? It's like 1984.
No, I think it's a beautiful idea. It's compassionate anarchy. It's and in the Anarchopedia. So it's the official tome of. Let's see what compassionate anarchy says. Compassionate anarchy.
You see, I'm on a mission not to feed into their double speak. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't.
These are the people, though. This is from a wiki, so this is from the people. Compassionate anarchy exists as a newly emerging revolutionary tendency and a mode of relating that goes back to the dawn of humanity. Compassionate anarchy seems a practice that can be incredibly hard to learn and keep, while at the same time, some of the most enjoyable moments of our lives have been when we've practiced it. Compassion keeps anarchy from degenerating into violent chaos, and individual autonomy from resulting in disrespect and disregard for others. Anarchy keeps our compassion from becoming a hollow shell of a real thing. Hold on. Oh, it's my mom. Hi, Mom. I'll call you when I'm on the line here talking to me. Okay, bye. Okay, bye. Okay, let me continue on here because this is interesting.
You see, that I don't, you know, even if Wiki says that, you know, Wiki can go and say what the
this is the, well, I'm just saying, this is actually the anarchist Wiki. This is people who study and practice anarchy. This is their Wiki.
Yeah, but why do you have to change a word that's already suitable? That's what I'm just saying. I just think that he's feeding into the PC of things, and PC is got us where we are now.
Like it says here, though, it says compassion keeps anarchy from degenerating into violent chaos and individual autonomy from resulting in disrespect and disregard for others, which to me is the key statement. That's why I like the word compassionate added to it.
James, what do you think to unconditional love?
Unconditional love is basically saying, well, that's to love without condition, to have a love that doesn't have any ifs, ands, or buts attached to it. And that's a very hard love to have, because almost everybody has a certain amount of, you know, an if, and, or but. I mean, certainly if somebody slaps you across the face continuously every time you say I love you, you're going to have trouble loving that person.
Well, that's what I was trying to discuss earlier with you. We didn't quite get to it for obvious reasons, but well, why don't you promote unconditional love instead of just love?
I do. That's exactly what I'm promoting. That's why I told you I have friends of all sizes and types, and my love for them is not conditional upon whether they're a Nazi or a communist, and I have them all, an ISIS member. These are all human beings. Black, white, red, yellow. I have them all.
Maybe,
all over the world.
I don't know if I'm right, but maybe Angela can, sort of agree with unconditional love. But it's in respect to what she's trying to say is you don't need to use that extra word compassionate. I kind of agree with that, but at the same time, it's love and then unconditional love.
I'm curious here because it's got the anarchy. Let's see what anarchy alone states in here. I'm curious.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't look at Wikipedia and
this is, like I say, this is not Wikipedia. This is an alternative wiki. This is this is what they call the anarchy or anarchopedia. It's a bunch of anarchists have written it, so it's got a positive slant on anarchy versus a negative one. Yeah, so yeah, I trust people.
You go back to the etymology of the word, anarchy. It means without rulers, doesn't it? It doesn't mean without rules. I mean,
I don't see what it's saying. I'm just curious what they say. Let's see what it has to say. I'm curious. Let's see if you agree or disagree. It's okay to disagree, by the way. This doesn't have anything to do with love. Love is not being in perfect agreement. Love is the overriding. It's like I can disagree with Angela on something and still love her. That doesn't change my love for her ever. So that's not. This isn't. I can have unconditional love as saying I disagree with that. Maybe that word should or should not be there with you, but that has nothing to do with my love for you. Anyway, let me go on. The word anarchy is from the Greek.
I must be a real cantankerous soul gate because I tell you something. I don't agree with the term unconditional love either, because obviously I don't think it's a truthful term, because the truth is that if somebody is harming you, then you're not gonna you're gonna keep away.
Everybody has some slight conditions, but that doesn't mean I can't love them from afar. I can feel sorry for them from afar rather than hating them, rather than having I can avoid them, and sometimes that can be love too. Because in some cases, I avoid some people to avoid conflict. That's just because I know.
What's the main reason why you offer love to people?
Because what I found is that what you put out there is what you get back. It's reciprocity.
That's a kind
I want love, so I give love.
It's like you're doing it because it can't be unconditional. It's conditional.
Well, there's no way to be completely without some kind, because we're human beings. We need to eat, we need to sleep, love seems to be a need that we have. So in my way of thinking, it's a circle. I give it, I get it. I give it, I get it. I give it, I get it. I always try to give more than I get, but I never can do it. So my feeling is that it's shown itself over time to prove that out to me. Otherwise I wouldn't still be doing it. So to me, it's real to me. So it is an unconditional love in the sense that, even those people have hurt me, I love them because they're human beings. All human beings I love. That's unconditional, generic love for people. The kind of love, though, that when we get more specific, there are other kinds. There's like erotic love. There's phileo, which is friendship love. There's agape, which is that unconditional love.
Stuff's mentioning psychopathic love.
Psychopathic love. What that would be kind of like. I would think that would be like when people are obsessed, and that's usually more of an infatuatory love. That's not real love. That's just I want you.
To them though, it's love to them.
And if that's what they want, I mean, but that's not the kind of love I'm referring to. I don't know. Let's go on back to this. It says the word anarchy is from the Greek prefix meaning not, the want of, the absence of, or the lack of, meaning a ruler, director, chief, person in charge, or authority. Or as Peter Kropotkin put it, anarchy comes from the Greek words meaning contrary to authority. And just to state the obvious, anarchy does not mean chaos, nor do anarchists seek to create chaos or disorder. Instead, we wish to create a society based on communitarian unity and voluntary cooperation. In other words, order from the bottom up, not order imposed from the top down by authorities. Which, by the way, I agree with if we can do it.
Well, however, that's why you have to claim back the words. You have to claim them back. You don't, PC is destroyed, and it alters people's mind.
Without rulers and self-ruling, they're two completely different things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I believe in self-rule ultimately. I just believe we're not prepared to be self-rulers, and we need to be taught that somehow. I don't know how to teach that because the young people aren't necessarily ready for it.
I don't know. I don't think you should say that. I'm sorry. You know that I'm not being. I'm just saying. I don't
overly
think
generic.
It's just the young people, though. It's not just the young people that you should change.
No.
It's the old people. It's our age that we've grown up and allowed this to happen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And gradually get more and more and more centralized instead of like the way it was. And you know, because they've kept us busy having to earn all the time, just being on the treadmill, and we've just got let it surpass us, and it's got worse and worse and worse. And that's why I say it's more like a fascist.
Yeah.
You know, it's not democracy at all. We have, you know what I mean? They come out with anything
from the top down. I'm a boss in a company. Okay, I basically oversee about 10 people that are working underneath me, according to But see, I don't look at them. I tell them, you guys don't work underneath me. You're the bread and butter of this company. You make this money. I am supporting you from underneath. So whatever you need, I'm going to give to you in order to help you be achievers. Because if you achieve, I achieve. So that's called bottom-up strategy. I've always been into that in management. Because if you're going to be a leader, you don't go, oh, go do this, and then go sit in your ivory tower. You better be on the front lines running in that war. And that's what I believe a true leader is not necessarily. King meant chief servant, right? I'm a Kingsley, so I've studied the word king. King means chief servant. A servant is a servant. You were supposed to serve. A king was meant to serve your people, not be served by the people.
I don't think you can just spin the pyramid, James. It's not simple or straightforward. As you're quite well aware of that.
Right, no. I'm oversimplifying for the purposes of conversation in this.
Yeah, I know you are.
Well, I agree. I totally agree with that. That's, you know, like a good boss, a good what you call a leader.
Right.
They wouldn't be like that. They wouldn't be sat in the ivory tower because they would get no respect, and that's exactly
in America. In America, they don't get any respect, but they still rule all of our companies.
They don't deserve any respect.
No, but they still get it.
The question what you put to Angela earlier about what would we do if we were to get rid of it all. I think majority of the people get by without it anyway.
I agree. Yeah. Well, we actually, because of the tyranny that's coming in, because you can't do this and you can't do that and you can't do the other, a lot of sort of bartering.
It's an hindrance more they don't.
Yeah, that's rising up from the bottom again because people are bloody sick of it all. So, you know, and all these, it's the same, just for a simple little job, like I've got this bloody carry-on going on, trying to find a bloody plumber to come and put a stove in. Well, you know, before, in a situation like this, you'd get the lad from down the road and come and help you do it. And it's got to a point where that's what I'm doing because, you know, you can't get a plumber for love nor money or they want the same money as bloody brain surgeons just because, like, the government now has made them go and get all these certificates, pieces of paper, spells, to say that they should have this sort of money. It's bloody ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? It's like...
No, I get it.
You know, and who are they to say who I can have to put a stove in my house? Do you know what I mean?
I understand that.
We listen to them too much, and they've got out of hand in my.
We've let lawyers take things over, and that's where I think the biggest problem is here in America. Is everything so law based to the point
I can remember when that happened.
You can't fart without breaking a law. Okay.
And it all came from America. It was a lawsuit this, lawsuit that, lawsuit the other. Christ, you couldn't look at somebody unless you'd have a lawsuit, and then it came to England. You know what I mean? You could feel it when it came here. You know, to England, and it's like, oh my God, you know, you can't even.
America's huge on lawyers. If I showed you our phone book, the phone book has about that thick of lawyers.
I can imagine. I know.
I mean, and it's like, why would we need this many lawyers? But now, right now, my grandson is in trouble for something he did on the internet that led to another thing. He did it when he was 15 years old, and now he's waiting to go to possible prison. And so he's got to go to trial and all this. But, you know, let me tell you something. The problem they found would have been something that would have been better handled by the family. And so, yeah, I agree with you. We don't need a whole bunch of government getting involved in our lives. For the most part, people are decent. If given the opportunity to be decent, we'll usually be decent. What we do with the outcasts and the social maladjustments, like the psychopaths, you know, I saw stat said, can psychopaths give love? I just saw it over there. Sociopaths and psychopaths That's an interesting question, and that's being studied, but most people feel that those two have disorders which make it impossible for them to love.
Don't forget narcissists.
Yeah. But
I mean,
psychopaths and sociopaths are known. I mean, I don't know much about, I haven't studied the narcissistic view as to what is expressed, as to whether that's a final type thing, but apparently psychopaths and sociopaths both have problems.
I will tell you, that's just giving him an excuse.
Hey, sorry?
You'll just say that, label him as sociopath, psychopath, so that's just an excuse.
I agree.
The modern day way of looking at things is, there's got to be something physically wrong with people. ADHD children, all this. I call it BS. I call it for what? Well, that's my perspective of it. I'm not looking for people to agree with me, but my perspective of it, it's all BS. Okay.
I agree with you.
That's what I think. That's what I think. And it's the same with legal system and lawful. You know, our American cousins like James should understand that their constitution, whether you believe in it being a legal piece of paper or a lawful piece of paper, if you go and look at the history of it, and when you get people stand up and they say, oh, the Magna Carta, yes, you've got to understand that you can legally kill somebody, for crying out loud. Can you lawfully kill somebody? That's the question.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to go, people say, I did come in, James, all of this. I kind of had an inkling that things weren't right when I was a kid and I was rebellious. I took drugs, I played in rock bands.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, had loads of girlfriends, all the rest of it. But whatever, as you did. But when I came into this sort of like what they portray a truth movement, whatever you call it, was through the freedom on the land. Okay, I don't mind admitting it. Okay, some of it's far-stretched in the legal system. You can't really use it with the legal system because the legal system it's not meant for that, but it does bring some basic facts in line. And then I went on to the Constitution, because we do have a Constitution. In actual fact, it's better. This is the truth. It's better than the American Constitution. You know why? Because it's not on one piece of paper. You get rid of one amendment, you write the whole Constitution away.
Uh-huh.
Ours is written on several papers. When I say ours, I say yours is too, because yours was taken from, American Constitution was taken from the English Constitution, Magna Carta and everything. So I've looked into that historically. Now, whether it's allegedly true, whatever, I have to rely. I'm not 700 years old. I have to rely on kids, rely on stuff that I lived through. But at the end of the day, there is a difference. Legal system, they can make everything legal to do, and there'll be no morals at all attached to it. It'll piss all over morals and decency, but it'll be legal, so that's okay. Right. Well, I call that BS in anybody's world. So my advice is, if you get in the trouble and you've got to go to court, do not ask for representation, even if it costs you $1 billion. You won't get it. You won't get it, because they all work for the same club, as we know. You've heard this, James. You've been around the block. You've been from the beginning of the internet, and I'm sure Angela has. So it's like psychopaths. Getting back to my point, it's a nice excuse. You can wrap them up and say, listen, it's Clockwork Orange. Stick him in a chair, put the injections in his eyes, put the clothes on him, turn him into a decent citizen. You've seen the film. Everybody's seen the film. So I think really, at the end of the day, everything is bullshit. Everything we're fed is just basic bullshit over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So, can we do anything with this bullshit to stop more bullshit coming?
The only answer I got for you is pretty simple, bro. I've been saying it over and over, and that is, you got to work on yourself to become a more kind, loving, compassionate being, and then just fuck everybody else. I mean, in a sense, love them to death. Those who hate.
And you know what, James? I don't care if anybody else wants to agree with me or not. That's my perspective, and that's it.
Yeah, just be you. It doesn't. You don't have to be. Anything but you, man. If you do, look, if you're a decent, kind person, you're probably doing the right thing. You don't have to force yourself to love people.
No.
All I'm trying to do, in fact, it's easy once you take it in. What I'm trying to do is encourage those who have taken it in to stay there, because it's easy to fall out of it too. It's easy to go, fuck this life, fuck them all, fuck everybody. Then you know, go get a Molotov cocktail and throw it at something. You know, I mean, there's an ease with that some people feel, and I get angry too. There's times where I'd like to, like, you know, there's people on the internet I'd like to, like, I wish I had a little nuke and could just go, and I love them. I'll have that happen.
No.
But I'm not, I at the same time, those are the people that challenge me and make me feel like, okay, how can I love this person too? And so I'm teaching me to love. That's not, it doesn't matter what anybody else is doing. The politics, I don't care whether what we are politically. It's why politics is a divisive thing. Love always comes back to a unifying thing. I'm looking for what unifies us, not what divides us. And the problem is we're so busy looking at all the divides, we're not really looking at the unity. And I'm into looking at both. I think you got to have a balance.
That's what I like, James. I like that. You know, there's certain words me myself appeal to me, and there's certain words that don't. Society doesn't appeal to me. That might sound strange to you, but it doesn't at all. Community is much better for me. Community that we grew up in was with kids. Communities that are no longer there. No way in this world is there any communities left. Not in the UK. Not in the UK.
No, I don't see what I grew up in, because I live in I see kids now having to go to play dates because the parents live in neighborhoods with other kids, but they don't trust the people next door. No. So it used to be that if you needed something, you went to your neighbor. I remember those days where all the kids played together in the street. It didn't matter who was what. We were all equal, and we all had fun.
Yes. Yes.
And so then we'd go home and we had our family life, and it was very normal. I lived like, have you ever seen that show, The Wonder Years? That was pretty much my life. That was my life. That was what I grew up with. Those were also the years of change in the U.S. Those were when we went through the 60s and the 70s. We went through, you know, the British invasion, and it changed us as a people. It wasn't the British invasion, by the way. It changed it. That came along at the same time. But it was during that 60s period, the mod period. Plastics came out, technologies changed, and people really started to get more into stuff. And by the 80s, we were really into stuff. I mean, we had gone crazy on stuff. We were buying stuff we couldn't afford. And then the 90s came along, and somebody said, hey, you got to pay your bill. And everybody went, huh? And so that's when people lost their houses and their cars and everything. You know, I mean, it was just crazy when it all fell apart. And that was when we had the banking crisis, and all that caused even more things to fall apart. So,
well, that was engineered, wasn't it? That was like the economic.
Well, it was. I don't know that they went like, we want to take everything down. I don't know that they engineered it that way. It was engineered to make money for some people.
That's an age-old thing to do, isn't it? That's part of the control. It's like, I mean, I'm sure you know, like the economic hitman. I mean, that's what they do. They get everybody into debt so that they can knock them down again. You know what I mean? And get them into a servitude attitude again. You know what I mean? Yeah.
It doesn't hurt the government. I think it's a profit-making device for certain bankers, but I think the government doesn't mind it, because it does. It takes away the money from the people, and then they put them more under control into the centralized hands of government. I agree with you.
Would you rather see an end to usury or see some of the dividends?
Ask me, what was that question again?
Would you rather see an end to usury or see your dividends?
Oh, I would much rather see an end to usury than to see dividends. By that you mean investment money's back or whatever, profiting, right?
Well, yeah, we've all put up part.
The profit I get off of eliminating usury, though, is that we have more money, because once you take it out of the hands of the bankers, you have real money, real trade capacity, real something. I mean, even if it's going back to chickens and goats, we then don't have anyone that's in between that can make the money go up or down like they do, like the Fed does here. You know, the money goes up and down. It can be most of it's gone down lately. It's like a dollar isn't necessarily worth a dollar.
Depends who you are and what lifestyle you've got.
Well, and a dollar to a kid today seems like $1 to them, but back, if I compare it to what I could have bought back as a kid, I remember buying huge bags of candy on 50 cents a week, okay? I mean, candy enough for a week on 50 cents. You couldn't even go buy one candy bar now for 50 cents. So I know there's a big difference in how money, you know, what money's worth anymore.
If you've got, yeah, I see what you're saying. If you've got a load of money, then you get them sort of things for free.
The power mongers get what they want. The people like Trump get what they want because he was a big wealthy guy, so he gets what he wants. You know, it's people who have money. I'm not opposed to rich people. I just think that rich people have a certain social obligation, and if they got rich, they need to do it through scrupulous, not unscrupulous means. But I see so few who really could fall into that, because everybody falls sooner or later for, you know, doing something stupid, and the rich have every opportunity to do that because greed takes over. Because you get to a point where you have a lot of money, you got to keep that, maintain that money. So if it starts to fall down, you start looking and grasping at straws to grab wherever you can, and next thing you know, you're entering into criminal enterprises just to keep your money. If money is your god, to me, I learned to live without it. So really, I just need a minimum to survive. I'm not looking for. I don't need a lot. I just want enough to feel happy, comfortable. I'm more comfortable now in my life than I've been in a long time. I'm not because of money, but because I've learned to live with less.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I don't need money. It's just that there's certain people who just got this in their head that they need me to have money.
It takes a certain something in order to get through life, depending on what your social order is. I mean, in this world, we do need a certain amount of capital in order just to live in this capitalist system. You can't get around it. You can't. In other words, you could say, "I'm going to give up capitalism," and then what? You know, nobody's going to take care of you. I mean, you might go out in the woods, but somebody's going to go out there and go, "This is state land. You need to move out of here." Okay.
You're not allowed to go in the woods anymore, are you?
Oh, so what happened?
Yeah, that's because that way of looking at things is turning pyramid around. It don't work like that. But
what happened to risk?
The game risk?
No, just risk.
Oh, taking risks?
Well, no. What's happened to risk? I mean, everybody's hell bent on be careful now. We want driverless cars so you don't have accidents. We want insurances so you can pay for not your own mistake. You know, you can get others to pay for your mistakes in life. You know, I could go on and on and on and on and on with that. You know, no responsibility. You can play
That's because
around.
we treat like children.
That's right. You can come in, you can take another religion and have a dozen wives. And what is this nonsense? What is this nonsense?
You can make your own laws now. It's Make Your Own Law Day. Come on in.
Yeah, come on in. That's right. The water is lovely. You know, we can all get in the bath together, and it doesn't matter.
It's chaos. Yay for chaos.
You know,
well, that's the irony of it. The actual system that we have is chaos, and yet they say anarchy is chaos. But it's actually, you know, what they deem as democracy. But money itself, I mean, this is like, I do believe money is a magic spell. That's what it is. It's a spell that's hanging, you know, a grimoire that's there hanging over us all. Do you know what I mean? Like you say, we cannot go. You're not allowed to go and find a piece of land in the woods to go and live anywhere without them bloody coming for you. Do you know what I mean?
That is supposed to be.
In America, you can't have water. You know, get your own water off the land. You can't bloody, you know, that guy's in prison for it, isn't he? You can't grow vegetables on your lawn. I mean, who the hell are these people? You know what I mean?
I was going to get into real estate. I was going to get into real estate, and then I took real estate law. Okay, and I went to take this class, real estate law, and I couldn't believe what I was reading so much. I didn't believe it. I just dropped out because I was like, this isn't even logical. Like, you go and buy a piece of land, right? You assume you got everything from the core of the earth up to the center of the sky, right? That should be your land. Now, what do you know that somebody might own the water rights to your land? Somebody might own the mineral rights to your land. Somebody might own the airspace above your land. You might own a piece of land you can't do shit with.
I know. And it's the same. It's the same thing as, like, you know, this came into Ireland, you know, just only a few years ago with the land registry, because before we had the registry of deeds, like, you know, and they had that the same in Scotland as well, and parts of England obviously at one time. But now the land registry means it doesn't belong to you. It's just like registering your car. You're not the owner. You're just the keeper.
That's right.
You don't own it.
Of course, you don't own anything.
Yeah.
No, can't take anything with you when you
No,
go.
of course you can't.
It's nothing to do with taking it with you when you go. It doesn't belong to you while you're here.
While you're here, exactly.
Well, that's the
You know what I
legal
mean?
system for you. That's the legal system. All of what James was on about with the, you know, trying to get into the law, you know, ownership of land and all the rest. That's the legal system. Everything's crazy in the legal system. But you
books
know,
and books and books to confuse you, so you need a lawyer to figure out what they're doing, because they figured out how to complicate it so much that you need a lawyer to uncomplicate it enough so it's mind-blowing.
Well, that's magic again, you see. That's their magic spells. You know, they summon you to court. You know it all, don't you? Know, it's all in a magic. It's all magic. That's all it is. It's magic spells upon us. You are summoned into the court.
Listen, this is just my historical research from Alfred the Great, who brought common law into existence in 871 in Anglo-Saxon days. His #1 golden rule was treat others as you would be expected to be treated yourself. End of. And do no harm.
Yeah, it's the only rules you need, really.
You see, that's why they broke up societies when you're talking about the villages and stuff like that. You know, they broke all up in the 60s, more or less, didn't they? Like, you know, knocked all the lovely two downs down and got rid of all the, you know, the community and put everybody on top.
Part of that had to do with the fact here in America, at least, that now it used to be, and I remember a time when one, and it could be the man, it could be a woman, I'm not sexist on that, but one person was in the home and one person went to work. Then we got this period of time where people needed more money to have a child because the cost of even having a child went up. So to have a child now, both parties had to work because one income wouldn't cut it. So then that got going. And then what happened was, talk about separation and stuff, suddenly jobs were going, well, you know, if you want to stay with our company, you got to move to here. And so people were going, okay, and they'd move their whole families or whatever. This is all part of the same breakup system. And so people lost contact with each other. People lost connection and family. And community got lost that way. I don't know anybody. I don't really have community anymore or know any of the kids I grew up with in school or in the neighborhood I originally grew up in. I don't know them.
And what happened in Britain, what they did in Britain is they destroyed and in America, destroyed the industry, took like sort of the shipyards, the coal, you know, they took that away in the steelworks. So the men didn't have jobs. So the women had to go out to jobs. Then it was first the factories. And then they took away the factories then afterwards.
Well, here
So
the big thing now is
the women have to work. Yeah.
Here they're outsourcing. In fact, Hewlett Packard, when they moved out of the country and outsourced to, I think it was Korea or something, they pulled the fast one because, see, what happened was, I knew a guy who worked there, so I know the story intimately. They basically said, okay, well, we're going to move to this other country. And you're all welcome to move over there. Now, we can't pay any of your moving expenses, but you're still working for us, and you can move over there if you want. Okay, so some people said, I don't want to move to Korea. Well, then you quit. You don't get any unemployment insurance. They screwed them out of their unemployment insurance. This woman, by the way, this woman was a Republican candidate for president of the United States back when they still had all those people on board. The woman who did that. That was the Republican answer to everything, is just screw everybody, we're going to make money.
Well, they all do that. All of them. They're all working.
The problem is that I see that more. It comes more. The money issues come more from the greed thing. I see coming more from the right wing conservatives, and sometimes the over liberality. It comes from the left, and kind of an inconsistent, like, let's make it illegal to say certain words.
I don't think there is. Yeah, to be honest with you,
That's America. Now, I don't know how it is in your country. I don't know how it is, but our country's very polarized, right and left, right now. Very polarized. I don't know how it is.
I don't think that. I don't believe that. Even in America, I don't think there's a right and left anymore. They're all working for the corporations.
There is. There is a right and a left. Yes, there.
No, there's not. I think the right and left is just a thing that's in the media.
Well,
that's the circus of it.
Right and left are philosophical concepts. So I believe there are two different distinct philosophical concepts. And you either ascribe to one or you ascribe to the other. It's like saying.
Yeah, but that's it. That's just like the mentality that wants you to be in. But the truth is, we're all working for the same.
Well, ultimately, it's all part of the same system. I agree. But at the same time, when it comes to like when I make decisions of who I'm going to vote for, even though I don't think the vote's necessarily a big deal, I look at what are their words. Are they in agreement with my philosophies? I'm looking for a philosophical agreement, not. I don't look at a side. And if I were to take that too, based on the paradigms, the models for those sides, I tend to go more left than right. And so therefore,
what you're saying there, James, is it's you're choosing one of two evils. That's what you're saying.
I'm choosing a philosophical side that values the people over profits. Because the right values. I'm saying philosophically. I'm not saying they're doing it. I don't say these people do it. That's why I'm not a political liberal. I'm a social liberal. There's a difference.
Yeah, but then why encourage any of them? You know, I mean, why put your name? What are you doing?
I'm not really. Other than here, this is the first place I've ever mentioned who I'm voting for.
No, I mean, I'm just, just even hypothetically, even if it's not you or what you were doing, but like if you've got two evils there, and which they are, and we're both working for corporations, not for the people. They're putting money into thousands and billions into Israel when the people in Detroit have got no water.
You got it.
You know, they're not looking after their own, which it's mostly the people that are, that
even the left isn't being truly left.
They're the ones that are probably paying out most of the money.
They're not true liberals. The liberals we have are not true liberals.
Why vote for any of them? You know what I mean? Why put your name to any of them?
In this particular case, I'm ascribing, like I say, to, and I thought of that because I did consider not voting. But again, I think the threat from what I see as a foreign policy of Trump is so scary to me because I don't want to see my kids have to deal with nuclear war. That's how simple it is for me. So it's a matter of
what they'll say, because no politician does what they say they'll do when they get in. We'll look at Obama for an instant. You know, when he came, wherever he came from, he just came out of nowhere. And then
I've heard Trump say many things that I would consider to be racist. Otherwise, as far as I've followed Trump here in America since when he wrote his book, because I was a big fan of his for a while. He was a dick back then. He doesn't pay his bills. He treats people. I know Trump's a dick because I read his book and I saw what he did back and how he treated New York. Yeah, he did some great things, but he never paid for it. He left a lot of people holding the dough, and then he'd go bankrupt because casinos, 4 of them went under. The guy can't run anything. At least Hillary has political experience. Trump has no political experience. There's things that I have to look at, even though I don't like it. Even though I don't like it.
You're just saying it again. At least.
It's a sad statement.
That's just saying you're choosing one devil over another.
Exactly. It's a sad statement, isn't it? It really is, because I have to take a liar a liar and a murderer. I have to choose a liar and a murderer over somebody who basically stole things from people. So it's either the thief or the liar murderer. Well, liar thief, liar murderer. I don't know.
How the hell do you put your name to any of them?
That's what we do here. We vote for idiots. We're an idiocracy.
That's what needs to stop, isn't it? That's what needs to stop.
We need a full-scale revolution, but we need it to be done in a way that's not.
To save the world, yeah, you do. Yeah.
We need a peaceful revolution.
I mean, all this bullshit, what they're doing, they're all poking the bear, poking Russia at the moment, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? And if anybody's going to start a bloody war, it's America. The way that they're pushing for a war.
Yep.
I mean, it's just like, and all we see on the TV is you know, holding up a Trump card or holding up a Hillary card, and it's like a total circus.
Yeah.
And yet they're not, you know, they're so focused on that, they're not seeing the wider thing, what's happening.
To them, it's a ball game. To them, they're the ducks versus the beavers.
That's what I'm saying. Americans, you need to bloody cop on, because like it's influencing everybody's life in the West.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening? Do you know what I mean? You are to me. They're trying to build an empire all everywhere. Everybody has to, you know, look at the TTP. Everybody has to do what America says, and we're sick of it.
Oh, yeah.
You're ruining every country, not just your own. Do you know what I mean? It's just like
our country is extremely arrogant.
It's been ruined from, and I know that it's not the American people, obviously. It's these fuckers in power. Do you know what I mean? That it just absolutely, because that's what I'm trying to say to you. It doesn't matter what they say. It doesn't.
I agree with you in theory, but I'm just saying that in fact I have to make a.
You're just encouraging it. Do you know what I mean?
I've been around people who have said by voting. Here's the thing. I know what you're saying, because I had another person who argued this with me and said by voting, and I kind of agree. By voting, you are acquiescing to the system just by merely voting.
You're vicariously liable for any war that starts when you put your name on that voting thing. Because what you're doing is you're saying, right, I agree that he can take decisions for me, or she can take decisions for me.
I believe there would be more. I believe that under a Trump presidency, we stand more of a chance of more and greater wars than we do under Hillary, because under Hillary at least has done some foreign policy work. Trump.
Oh my God! What foreign policy things has she done? She's gone over there and killed. That was the first snuff video that's ever been like televised throughout the world.
James, you're making a conscious.
It was disgusting.
I'm sorry?
You're making a conscious decision based on fear.
Oh, I'm not afraid. I'm basically concerned. There's a difference. There's a difference between being concerned and fear. I know the whole world's fucked up. There's a big chance we're going to end up in nuclear war within a very short time.
You're about nuclear war and not wanting your kids to.
Oh, no. I just feel it's inevitable, but I'm not worried about it.
Cold War. We same propaganda that will put out back then.
I'm sorry?
It's like Cold War, like same propaganda that will put out back then.
Absolutely. It is.
I didn't even live through that.
Can I clarify one thing, though?
Listen, James, because for somebody who didn't live through that period, to see somebody like you base a decision who did live through that period, it's not very inspiring.
Okay, let me explain to you why I just breached something that I just told you earlier I wasn't going to do. That was, I notoriously have not been expressing being for, against, or even telling people that I'm voting. I exposed that here, and I opened up to you guys to be honest with you regarding my feelings. But as you can see, it creates dissension. It creates a distance. And you even mentioned by saying you kind of showed that you disrespect me for my opinion, something I wasn't going to share.
For me, I can't vote. I morally can't vote, and I get the stick because people turn around and say to me, "Well, you can't argue if you don't vote. You can't complain." It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what.
I didn't say that though.
I'm not saying you. I'm just saying there was
a statement a moment ago that you said something about feeling that what I was doing was not by making a choice to vote, that somehow I was breaching somebody's opinion of me. I don't know who said that.
Well, no, you're breaching your own ethics because
I'm not. The ethics I broke here was saying that I said I was going to remain quiet on it, and I opened up and did it. And that's where that's where I feel I brought, because I don't like. To me, it's all about.
Don't make it about you then.
No.
Let's not make it about you.
Not about me. To me, to my viewpoint as to how I see things is, I don't really want to create dissension. So therefore, since politics creates dissension, who do you vote for? Do you vote? I pretty much shied away from it on Facebook. You won't see me talking about this on Facebook.
Yeah, but everything is politics. Everything. This is the biggest debate that we should.
I'm all for balance. Yeah, I'm all for balance. You have to accept. You've got.
And it's not a debate. It's nobody's saying anything bad about
discussion. No. I just took it that somebody was kind of feeling like I was making a judgment about my taking a position of some form. And I don't like it because, yeah, I understand it. I told you in the beginning, it's a shit sandwich versus a giant douche. And I will stick with that. It's just that I would rather, you know, in some ways, what the shit sandwich promises is a little better than what I see with the giant douche. But that's just neither here nor there. It's just the way I see it at this point. Now, it could change. But for the most part, as I view things and have viewed this, those are the decisions I made at this point. Now, the election's still a ways away.
Let's change it to something else then, rather than political parties. Just edit it. We could all agree that they're both toxic poisons, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Politics is poison. That's why
if you had nothing to eat, but you had two things just come your way, both of them will kill you in a matter of time, but unfortunately you just can't tell when. Which one would you take? Or would you think that you could live longer just starving yourself of both of them? Because that's pretty much where we're at, all of us. You either come under one of them.
Yeah, I understand. There's a point at which we're going to have to grasp this, but I don't know, you know, again, I don't know whether people are ready to take on the full responsibility of a full-on revolution.
But it's nothing. Never mind other people. You know what I mean? It's like what you want for your, you know, your own ethics in your own heart.
Yeah. I don't breach my own ethics.
The devil or the deep blue sea, which one? Don't do any of them. That's what I would think. Do you know what I mean? Because like these people don't deserve. You're talking about, you know, you want to give out love. These are they don't know what the meaning of love is. Do you know what I mean?
No politician ever has. So none of them ever really, I mean, probably Kennedy, maybe. But since Kennedy, really, they've all been in it for themselves. It's all about, I mean, when we got CIA guys like Bush in office, that right there should have said something. You know, the minute Bush took office, we should have gone, whoa, wait a minute. We just went through Nixon and saw what he did, and now we're going to let this guy who has that level of clearance have this much control over our government? Kind of scary stuff. Because
like, my God, I know. It's just like, and this time because of, I can remember Hillary Clinton saying that they're losing. You know, she was getting upset that they're losing the information war because of the internet. And yeah, they have, because like we know too much about all the dirty dealings that they do, and you know, so therefore this time more than any time is a time to say, I don't want to vote for any of you. Do you know what I mean? I could not put because you're putting your sign of nature, your signature, to one or the other, and you're putting your belief in them by putting that sign of nature there. And you know, how can you? When don't take it personally. I'm not talking about you now, right? I'm just talking about anybody. You know, how can you in your heart put your sign of nature? That's putting you into it, saying, yeah, whatever you do, I'm at the back of you, because you put them there. So, but you know, so how can you do it? You know what I mean? If ever there's been an election that you cannot vote for any of them, it's this one. Do you know what I mean? Because we know too much now about what's happening. Hillary's a liar. She's a complete liar. I'll never forgive him for what he did in Scotland. You know, I don't know if you've watched that thing, You've Been Trumped. But I mean, he is a scoundrel, a total scoundrel.
No, I understand. He's
and you know, I mean, my God, you know what I mean? And it's not just influencing your life; it's influencing everybody in the West's life. You know what I mean? When I say yours, I'm not on about you. I'm on about American lives.
No, and I wasn't. I was just pointing out that I felt, you know, it's like I don't let other people, I listen to other people, I take in what they have to say, and they do influence to some degree, but I also need that space to make my own decisions on things, and so I don't, that's why I don't necessarily, I don't promote politics for the most part, meaning it's not my thing. I did it for a long time, and I have my opinions, but for the most part, it's just got it gets in the way of what I'm trying to do, which is more like a minister or a spiritual leader. Now, I'm not a minister or spiritual leader. I am 3 times ordained, including the Dudist church, yes. I'm a Dudist priest. but I basically, that's all nothing. I mean, paperwork, all that crap, ordained, all that.
I don't really care about that. Politics, but you'll go and actually sign yourself to one of them. You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense in my head. I'm sorry, but I just can't.
Well, what I do normally, I mean, to me, I was going to keep it private so that it didn't become an issue. So it was going to be whether I did or not. Like I told people at the beginning, don't expect me to tell you who I'm going to vote for, because I'm not going to say. I'm just going to vote for who I think is best if I choose to vote. And that was the end of it. And that's all I have to say about that.
You're telling people about politics by saying you are going to vote in the first place. When
I said that, I said, which I did today. There I exposed it. Here's my politics. But what I said, it should, didn't you hear that last statement when I said that was, should I choose to? I said I wasn't even revealing whether I was going to vote or not. So that was on my Facebook, and I haven't said anything except for, a couple of joke things that sort of hinted in some direction, but it didn't really say anything. It was only to those who might have known. I've had so many people asking me, and it's like this big thing where everybody comes up. Who are you voting for? Who are you voting for? They IM me all the time over here. Who are you voting for? What are you going to do? Do you know who I've told? This is the only group I've told. You guys are it. And now I hope please erase this show, because frankly, I don't like taking it into the politic. I'm not here to do the politic thing. I'm here to do personal politics of the heart, not politics of the head. I don't understand it. It's all legalese and bullshit and crossing nations. I don't even understand how to tell another nation. Some nations have such a different politic. They don't even understand this Western politic, because theirs is based on like a religious belief politic or something, like the people who live in Islamic countries. And I have a lot of friends that are Islamic. So it's a very, I'm trying to find the thing that we can all get together on, not the things that divide us. There's enough of that shit. I'm tired of that shit. I don't like the division. I'm tired of it. It makes me want to cry. I'm sorry I even mentioned it. I'm sorry I brought it up now. I'm sorry that I revealed it, because I feel like somehow I've hurt you guys, or like I've hurt myself.
I don't know why you even think like that. It's just because maybe like with the way I'm a Yorkshire woman.
Because I've been on the internet for 10 years.
You haven't hurt me.
No, but I'm telling you why. It's an over. Because you don't understand my past.
I just think that it's just a debate. It's just a debate, isn't it?
Okay, and I don't go into it. I don't go into it because it hurt me a lot. But the fact is, I got into a thing that became a contentious thing on the internet. I ended up losing most of my friends over it, and because of some small contentious thing that they just said, well, fuck you then, because you're not going to, they wanted me to think like them. And I just couldn't do it, and so they all ran off. So I said, "No."
They weren't friends then, were they? You know what I mean?
They were, they were. At the time, I was a radio person. I had fandom. I was kind of almost trying to make my living off the internet, so it had a big impact on a lot of areas of my life that weren't just the internet. I mean,
basically, you had to be somebody that you wasn't, just to pacify.
No, I had to. No, it was something where I allowed something to get into the full story would take a lot longer, and I was guilty of something that I did that breached me. I caused it, but if I had been smart, I wouldn't have done it to begin with. And when I did it, it leaked out, and then it got out, and the next thing you know, people were siding, and it became a contention, and then everything that I had been trying to build fell totally apart. And so I pledged to myself I would never play that game again. I would be totally upfront and honest. I have been here. I'm honest with everybody. The only thing is that I just don't want it. My thing is about the heart, building the intellect is part of that, but also building your integrity. And I'm working on trying to build that. Now, whether at this point vote or not, I mean, I may not vote. I don't know. It's nobody's business but my own. Who I vote for, nobody's business but my own.
Well, I don't know why I think you're making it more of what it is. It's only been a day.
That's why I became a little
saying there's
emotional.
nobody to vote for. That's all. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry.
I think that was the debate of it. You know what I mean? And I think debating's healthy, isn't it?
Oh yeah. I'm not minding this. I'm just telling you. I'm telling you with a lot of deep respect that These are how I feel. I've been more open here with you than I normally am with most people, because I just don't really want people usually knowing everything about me. I have certain things that, although I'm very open, I'm way more open than most people on the internet, way more. My phone number's there. You want to call me? You can go on my Facebook. It's right there. Okay? I don't hide anything in that way. What I do not want to do, though, is cause a whole lot of dissension and debate over like these flat Earth, round Earth people and stuff. That's become, everybody wants to know what I think of that too. And I'm trying to deal with both sides. It's like, you know, I love y'all. I think the flat earthers are a little crazy, but hey, that's not them. And you know, I love them still. I just don't agree with them from their like I've said, I can disagree with your politics, I can disagree with your religion, I can disagree with your sexuality, but yet I'm still going to love you. I still can disagree though, and still love you, care about you as a human being, part of me. I mean, we're all interconnected in my world. We're all one big thing. If I hurt you or you hurt, you know, and I hurt you, I hurt myself. So I'm not trying to hurt anybody. I'm not trying to cause any pain for anyone. I just want to be to make it about something more of the heart than of the head. Am I making sense? I hope.
I think, well, I don't. I think that it's a bit. I think you're a bit too sensitive over it, because it's just like, you know, it doesn't matter. I mean, why shouldn't you? You're only here once in your life. You know, you've got one life here, and whatever you think, you think. And you know, and like you say, anybody that disagrees with you, if they disagree with you, that's fine as well. But if you know, it doesn't mean to say that. I mean, everybody's got friends that you disagree with, but it doesn't mean to say that you're going to be upset with them. You know what I mean?
No.
It's just, you know, I think, you know, especially with what's happening in the world, you know, politics is a thing that it should be at the forefront of debates. And do you know what I mean? I really do, because it's ruining people's lives, isn't it? The fact that they're able to do what they do, and we you know, the people that actually give them.
I have a theory. I have a theory, though, that if we can figure out how to fix ourselves personally, that the rest will eventually take care of itself. But you got to start with you. So the main thing is I'm working on me, and I'm doing it publicly, and I'm trying to encourage other people to work on themselves and to make it a personal thing. And what you do it. I mean, I can't tell people what to do with their lives. I'm not trying to. I'm not a dictator. What I am is a person who just has a feeling that I'm supposed to do what I'm doing, and it's like a drive, it's like a calling, if you will, and it feels good when I do it right. Sometimes I don't do it right, though. Sometimes I screw up, and that's when I don't feel as well about it. But for the most part, I've been seeing a lot of effect, a very positive effect in what it's doing for people.
You can never learn unless you screw up, don't you?
Oh, I've screwed up so many times. Oh, shit.
There you go.
Well, that's why I'm trying not to. That's why I say I made a lot of mistakes when I first got on the internet. Heck, I got a lot of viruses and stuff on my computer because I didn't know shit, you know. And I think that's true of life too. When you first get into something, you obtain a lot of viruses, and then you have to get all that out, clean it out. You got to go around, figure out what programs you should have, and
well,
try
that's
to
what it's all about. I think that's the big threat. What Angela's touched on the areas. We've got to be allowed to screw up, because that is how we learn. And I think where all this PC stuff's going is to make us so we can't screw up, so that way we can never learn.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that we've all got to, you know, talk about. You know, going into ourselves, and I mean, we've all been, you know, gradually brought up in the last few years, or the last 10 or 20 years, with all this PC bullshit, where you get to a point where you don't even open your mouth about anything. And that's what they want. Shut down the pubs so that people can't go and talk to each other. They've destroyed the communities so people can't talk to each other. They've made everybody the way, you know, like we're literally in an open prison where we lock ourselves in our own cells every night in our homes. We can't talk to the inmates next door, blah, 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 blah. So they've got us by the balls. You know what I mean?
We've lost community, you're right. We have definitely lost community.
So when do you know, this is it. And then, you know, people are frightened of saying, talking about religion, talking about, you know, what their views are, and why should you? You know what I mean? I'm sick of this bullshit now. I'm sick of it. Do you know what I mean? You know, it's
not something we can just eliminate, though. We've got to remember it. So we're prepared and we know what they've done.
Of course, and here's the thing. I'm not saying. What I am saying is, for me, my particular direction I'm trying to go doesn't incorporate it as much as I used to incorporate it. Like, I used to be very political. Then for a while I was very spiritual, then I got very political, and now I'm more balanced, and I'm not as political nor spiritual. I'm more interested and concerned with the human condition. just the basic general individual condition, because I still believe love, real love, not manufactured, that if we can grasp what it is and make it real in our lives, then we'll begin to touch other people's lives. We'll be able to get to connect. Like you say, we need to connect again. How are we going to do that? We got to find this community of love within us that wants to connect. Because I mean, a lot of people are distrustful. They don't even want to go outside anymore. They're just sitting in their computers going, we need to get to the point where we literally can feel more comfortable in each other's company, knowing that when we talk, we're being honest. I think in here, we're being very honest. I've been very honest with you guys, and I think you're being very honest with me, and I appreciate that. That's a breath of fresh air.
That's why I admire honesty. I don't care what your opinions or your stance are, as long as it comes from an honest, point. But I'd much prefer some of these politicians to be a lot more honest, and maybe I'd get involved. If they just told us how it is, then I'd probably get involved. But it's because...
But PJ, never mind, they tell us what it is. We should be telling them.
That's true.
I understand that, but I do understand.
That's very true.
It would make life a lot easier if they just told us we're living in a fascist dictatorship, whether we like it or not. And then we know where we stand. That's where I'm trying to get to.
We don't have a modern day Hitler to look at to go, that's the guy.
PJ.
Nobody knows where we actually are.
PJ,
Yeah.
James and Angela, well, there is an answer to all of this, and the guy's serious about it. Very, very serious about it. And in 2024, they're going to send some people to a planet, and they're going to take a load of infrastructure with them, and they're going to start a new civilization on Mars. The name of the guy is called Elon Musk. You can check it all out if you like. And yeah.
Put the name up in the chat for me, please.
Is that the guy who's they're gonna send stuff up there, then they're gonna reconstruct it and build it and grow plants and have all this stuff and try to go through, and they're gonna start producing oxygen through using... I've read about this. That's very fascinating, actually.
And it's gonna be a colony on Mars to start with, and it's gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger. And Elon Musk...
Is it only going to be for men?
Well, actually, that was one of the questions that was asked to him. But he whether this is bullshit and a load of whatever, this is what the guy said. And he's not interested in any isms or governments. He wants a form of direct democracy. And he also wants, if there's going to be rules and laws, right, he wants it harder for laws to be brought in and easier for bad laws to be thrown out. And that's Elon Musk. And a lot of people say, well, he's a shill. He's got the Tesla Motor Company. He's built a great big gigafactory in Nevada. You know the guy, James. You know this guy.
It sounds a bit like sort of the Venus project as well. So there you've got Mars and Venus going on there.
Well, this guy is building rockets. He's going to build one bigger than the Saturn one or whatever it was that sent the guy. He's built rockets now that go up and come back down and land. I don't know if you've seen it on the telly. Two or three of them. Yeah, 2 or 3 of them.
He's also built ones that blow up.
Yes, the last one, the Falcon 9, blew up on the pad. But this guy's...
So they managed to get past the Van Allen belt then? Yeah.
Well, whatever your beliefs are. But the thing is, I'm just asking. Hang on, Angela.
I love stuff like that.
Yeah, hang on a minute. It may be a load of baloney, but he's got J.P. Morgan and the billions and billions of pounds behind him. He's built the biggest factory.
Oh, let's hope they just take the elite with them and let them fucking go live on Mars.
Send the elites to Mars Foundation.
Yeah, all I can say is, you better get your names down.
I wouldn't want to go and live near them, to be honest with you.
The first
people with money.
If something goes wrong, they're fucked.
But
we don't need to wait for these people to move to another planet because they live on another planet anyway.
Well, whichever. I just thought I'd bring a bit of humour into the conversation.
Well, that works out. Thank you. We got kind of heavy there for a while. I think that was part of it. It's like sorry, I didn't mean to take it into the heaviness myself. So if I did,
politics is extremely heavy. it lays heavily on people's cranium.
Oh, and during the Bush administration, I was heavy into it. I was so anti-Bush. It was like, I mean, and then when Obama, I was sure Obama was going to be the Antichrist, you know.
Yeah.
Seriously, I even made a video. You know, I was sure he was going to do it. He was going to be the Antichrist, but turned out to be not. I learned I could be wrong.
Well, the thing is, I think if and big if, who knows what's going to happen? But if they're going to colonize, you know, the solar system and then the galaxy and all these, you know, sort of thing. I have had.
Well, didn't you know the Earth is flat? You can't get to that. Those are all the angels up there. Those are angels.
I put some wording on the side, and you can check him out. In 230 BC, this Greek guy, proved that, you know, they weren't the center of the earth. But of course, they hushed him up. Socrates and the rest, they all hushed him up, and it was all forgotten for 1,000 years. And the Catholic Church came in and done its thing. It's flat. Of course, they had to wait for this Galileo guy to come along. You know. So I mean, you know, what do I know? I don't know nothing. I absolutely know jack shit.
The wise man admits he knows nothing, so that's wise.
Well, listen, James, I certainly didn't live 700 years ago. Well, I don't think
did in a previous life, but I think I was a slug.
You could have been
a bit like Mel Gibson on that conspiracy theory, isn't it? If you've ever watched that.
Yeah.
I didn't see Mel Gibson's conspiracy theory thing, but yeah, I was around enough of those people. I hung out with the Alex Jones and Glenn Beck Kool-Aid drinkers for a while.
Oh.
And that's where I took, and it took me a while to get out of that. I literally got brainwashed into a set kind of thinking that was very paranoid and fearful all the time. And all I can say is I'm so glad that I've gotten over that fear. So I don't really let that stuff, you know, cause fear in me anymore. Concern, yeah. Fear, no. You know, what's going to happen is going to happen.
Yep.
Because they got it all planned out anyway. But I might as well, you know, my feeling is I do things sometimes based upon what I call personal principle. I just have a principle and I'll act upon it. I've done stupid things like that. I walked out of a good job once on principle because they were being unfair to the employees, even though they weren't being unfair to me. And I said, no, you're not going to be mean to these people, and I'm out of here. If you know, all those people stayed that I was defending, and I'm the one that lost because I stood up. But it was worth it to me. You know, to me, it was like, I'm going to stand on my integrity. And every time I do that, I feel really strong, but my monetary system goes down usually. Usually my money stops at that point.
Yeah. At least you can face another day if you've got your integrity.
Yeah, that's the one thing I do believe, though, that everybody needs to really focus on in their lives is, are you doing things with integrity? Question your own motives, question yourself. You know, I mean, all of us have a payout somewhere in what we do. For me, it's still the idea that if the world could live the kind of love that I would hope that I could generate in my own life, and I could, if I tried to be the person that I wish everybody was, and it was a whole bunch of people that were at least somewhat similar. They don't have to be the same, but somewhat similar in their feelings about love that I have, then maybe we could get along. Because, see, it has to do with not so much you have to believe as I do or you have to think as I do. It's that you and I can still get along with even differing opinions and go, you know what? I respect you still. You respect me. It's kind of like namaste. The spirit within me respects the spirit within you. As a part of itself is the kind of feeling I want out of love. And so, again, that's kind of my focus now. I mean, certainly politics is important because and there's people doing that. It's like somebody said to me the other day, man, all of your stuff on Facebook is just way too positive, dude. What do you live in a land where, you know, unicorns and rainbows and sunshine and lollipops? And I said, no, I make a conscious choice to do this because I know that the world is not a land of rainbows and lollipops, but there's enough darkness on Facebook that I decided maybe I would be some of the light. Yeah. So I'm still balancing it. There's still a balance going on. There'll always be the darkness along with the light. It's a balance. But I decided I wanted to just stand in the light. I decided I don't want to play in the darkness anymore.
I went down that road, and then Stav once mentioned to me, what about the bit in between?
all the gray zones and stuff. Yeah, no, there's bits in between that I'll go. I'll tread in the gray zones. But when it comes to the dark, you know, thinking in terms of the darker side of things, I'm really not really there right now. It's not me, you know. It's not where I'm. Somebody's got to stand over here on this side. So I stand over here. And I know there's other people. It'll balance out in its own way because there's other people standing on the other side. And so it does balance out. You know, I saw so much crap on the internet that I finally just said, I'm going to put some things on there, just good positive statements, and people started reacting to them and liking it. And I started seeing people coming to me saying, wow, you're really inspired. My own boss at work, my boss, the woman who pays me my paycheck, said to me, I am so happy to see you are doing the right thing on Facebook. You keep that up. You've inspired me. Yeah. Hey, that was quite a statement from my boss because she's really been picky of me. So that's the type of, when I see the things happening that are in a positive way, it makes me know I'm at least on the right path. Is it for me? What do I get out of this? The joy of seeing of community and real people who open up and talk about real things and not just, you know, hey, how was your day? Great. Okay, bye. You know, how's the weather?
I think, James, really, it's people are just pissed off, fed up with being being dealt the crap hand.
Oh yeah, I agree. I am too, and I understand the anger. In fact, I've often said the anger is to some degree what motivates me to be the love I am, because I'm angry at a world that's so dark and hurtful to people, and I see all the suffering that goes on. And yes, I'm aware of all this darkness, and yes, I've read a lot of all of these, you know, horror things, about how criminals. I've watched a lot of criminal stuff. I've seen a lot of the dark side. Hell, I was around bikers and around some of the dark side for a while, so I saw some of that.
Yeah, well, you're from the same era as me and Angela as well, and we knew what it was like to be. Well, I knew what it was like to have nothing and have nothing, literally nothing. Where that you had to make something to give something rather than buy something.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I was spoiled, but then I lost everything and had to relearn, because when you're spoiled and you think everything's going to come to you, and then you go out. I got married really early and thought, I'm an adult now. Everything should just fall into my lap, and things were not falling into my lap. And all of a sudden so I panicked, and everything just sort of, you know, things began to collapse for me, because unless people gave me things or gave me help. And I had to get to the point where I pushed all that away and said, I can do this on my own. I had to take the bull by the horns and realize that life isn't going to just hand me a bowl of grapes. You know, it's going to make me have to go grow the grapes first.
Yeah.
When I showed you this image, James, you came up with a little thought, didn't you? Can you see this image on your screen?
Yeah.
When I showed you that, you came up with a thought, didn't you?
Yeah.
Do you want to share it with rest of us here?
It's your move.
It's your move. That's exactly it. So I think if we keep, you know, things based around that, it's your move.
Yeah.
Because we can't win, we can't lose.
No, but we have to stand strong in our playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a game, and we're on one side and they're on the other. And I understand all of you. Each of us plays a different role. Think of it. Here we are at chessboard.
Well, people say this isn't a game. It's far from a game, and we should never even consider it to be a game. It's people's lives that we're talking about, and we're dealing.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's very important that people of your age group, my age group, Angela's age group, our generation, we are the wisdom for the younger generation. It's important you get your word.
Isn't that a sad commentary on the world?
I know, yeah, but listen, honestly, James, there are a lot in our age group that won't do it. And they've got their nice pension and their car and their house and the golf club. They just want to play a few rounds of golf and then pass away. That's all they want to do. But there's us old rebellious ones that remember, and we are the wisdom that we should. I feel like that anyway. People say, well, Stab's just a stupid old sod or whatever. But because we went through tougher times, I believe physically tougher times. This is what I'm saying. A lot of people might not believe that today. But as growing up of a member of 9, and my dad worked his socks off But we all had to work too. Us kids, as soon as we could learn to walk, we had to work too. Now, when people say, oh, years ago, you know, your dad just had to go to work, but that wasn't quite true for all of us. A lot of the family had to work after school, before school, weekends, holidays. The only time we never worked was when we went to school. I kind of liked going to school because I used to get out and go to work. So it's hard. It was hard days, but it was honest hard. And the morals and the decency, which I mentioned to PJ, because there's a lot of new age words out there that are taken for granted, and you know, I just stick to the decent side of things, and that's why I'm a bit of an old constitutionalist in back to the Anglo-Saxon days and all this. It's very romantic and all the rest of it, but you know, do no harm, treat others as you would be expected to be treated yourself. You treat somebody bad, you're going to get treated bad back. It's
absolutely.
Well, that's what
really simple.
Free hopes to be. You know, I'm just offering a platform for anyone who wants to come and discuss whatever it is, and basically just make the move.
Yeah.
It's been good having you all on, James, Angela.
Oh, well, thank you, Angela, and
we will do this again because I've enjoyed it.
And, yeah, I do too. Thank you.
Yes.
Keep spreading the love, James.
I'm sorry. Oh, I can do nothing. I can do nothing else. It just comes from here. It's part of it is just what I do, and I feel most satisfied doing it. So I'm just going to keep doing it, and I appreciate different people's feelings always. I can get. Let me explain to you how I sometimes am. My mom and I can sometimes get into arguments where I will disagree with her so wholeheartedly and get so worked up that I will say, Mom, I will talk to you later. Slam. And I'll slam the phone down and be angry that I didn't get my point across. Or But you know what? The next day we're calling the phone. Hi. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, yeah. It was just got out of hand.
You were mentioning trying to have your mum on one time, and I thought that would be a perfect opportunity there when she rang you. If you had a loud speech, you could have joined.
She'd have sorted us all out, I'm sure.
Yeah.
That's true. All right, guys, I got to get going. I love you. Big love, big ups. Keep going out there, be the love to other people in whatever way you do. So for some people, that's educating them in things that I wouldn't be the things I would educate them in, if you understand. Different people, different pieces on the chessboard. I guess I'm the one with the big hat. I don't know. Anyway, love you guys. I'm going home. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.